What up, fam? This is HUD Wednesday nights, only on HUD Radio. Make sure you hit the like. Make sure you hit the subscribe. Come talk some James Harden and Sixers with us. Let's go. Let's go. This ain't the fuck like oh, this game he stink.
Oh shit!
It's gone.
You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
Let's go, Harden. James Harden will get lap dances here in Philadelphia for the rest of his life. This is HUD Wednesday nights, only on HUD Radio. Every Wednesday night, we are brought to you by BetUS. BetUS is a leading online sportsbook. They've been in the market for over 25 years. You can bet anywhere in the U.S. on everything. Use either the link in our description or promo code A2D, and you get 125% sign-up bonus. That's BetUS. Use our promo code A2D for 125% sign-up bonus. Just don't bet on the Phillies right now. What's up, everybody? We got a jammed-packed show for you and a ton of people. Greg Milwakovic, Michael Chromiak, over from Birds of a Feather, joining us. He'll be joining us as many Wednesdays as he can. And the host of Lazy Booking, No Eaton. I think he just came back from vacation. Greg said he looks older. I think he looks younger. The cough doesn't sound good, but I'm sure he'll get that handled. Ralphie D with his Spartans gear on. What a loser. I mean, who likes things in Michigan? I mean, people in Michigan don't even like the water, and this guy's over here. Look at this guy over here. Ryan Brodo. I'm Tom Arnone. And let's talk about it. NBA news around the league. Free agency kicking off. So tis the season for that. We'll get into that later on in the show and throughout the show. Sixers free agent targets. Discuss some of them. James Harden opts out of $47 million. Can you believe it? I can. I think, we talked about it when we made the trade, that there was rumors and reports about, a little behind the scenes action that he wasn't ever going to opt into this, and they were just going to give him a deal, a little bit longer than maybe you would like, but a little bit longer of a deal, around $30 million a year. And this shows me, and this should show everybody out in the city of Philadelphia, or that's even a Sixers fan from anywhere in the country, that James Harden, at this point in his career, is committed to winning. And so that stench that's been on James Harden for years, that stench needs to now go away. And it needs to go away immediately. And I've been very critical of James Harden. But this is the proof. The proof's in the pudding. The proof of how you go about things is by your decisions. All right? Your decisions, right? And your perception is reality. And here we are. And this is a decision to take less money, right? To take less money to try to win. And it really opens a ton of things up for the Philadelphia 76ers. And that's going to tie into our poll question, brought to you by Manscaped. And you can get 20% off and free shipping with the code HUD at manscaped.com. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. It's time to throw out your old hygiene habits and upgrade your life. That's promo code HUD, and you get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Our poll question for tonight's show: the Sixers starting five at the beginning of the season will include Harden, Maxie, Tucker, Harris, and Embiid. Do you agree or disagree? Let us know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. That's where we're live. Everywhere, and I mean everywhere, you get your podcasts. We're there as well. Make sure you comment in tonight. You know how we read them all. All right? You know how good it feels. Feels so good when you comment. Let us know where you're tuning in from, and make sure you answer the poll question, all right? Because it is a little tricky, okay? Because I believe Jesus Christ. I mean, get a lozenge. You know what I mean? Get a cough drop one time. I do believe that these 5 guys are on the roster. Okay? I do believe that these 5 guys are on the roster, but I disagree with the poll that Tucker starts at the 3. Maybe in certain games, sure. Matchups, yes. But I believe, and I know they've been trying to trade him, but I could see it I could see it Matisse playing the 3, even though we don't like it, right? I could see them not finding what they feel is enough back in a deal for him, right? To say, you know what, he's going to start at 3, and we're going to have a really damn good bench. Because I think we talked about it all year. It wasn't a starting 5 issue for us per se, right? And your starters don't necessarily finish games, okay? That's not how it always goes, right? Your best players finish games. So do I believe that 5 would be on the court in crunch time? Yes, okay? That's where I agree with. But as my starting 5, no, because I think Tucker is better suited to come off the bench. And I think with Melton and Shake right now and Niang and Tucker, you start to find some scoring off your bench that you didn't have a year ago. So, I mean, that bench is drastically upgraded. That makes us way more competitive. That allows you to start Matisse and lack of offense at the 3, right? Or there might be somebody else that they go out and get for $5 million that comes in and starts your 3, right? That's maybe more athletic, more of a 3-and-D guy. So there's options out there. But I just disagree with this as your starting 5. I think these 5 guys are on the roster, obviously, because they're hunting for PJ Tucker, and I'll stand by it. Like, I don't think they trade Tobias Harris. I think if they trade Tobias Harris, that is next year, because that's when they get the most value back for an expiring contract. Does that mean that they could trade him? Of course they could. I don't got no goddamn crystal ball, but we're here to talk sports and act like we know what really would do. But I'm talking about what I would do. And I would wait on that, because I think getting the more chemistry with those 4 guys is so important. We've shifted and shaked the roster too much. At some point, strengthen your bench and let a really good 4 in this league, let them grow for a minute together. And let's see what we have. Can we make a deadline move? Could you trade Tobias at the deadline? Sure, right? Because now you got a guy coming up on an expiring contract. It just feels better for teams, right? It just smells better for teams. It just the whole process does. So, Jared, a 38-year-old role player doesn't do it. What do you mean? A guy playing 15 minutes off your bench doesn't do it? I don't understand that. I think he drastically helps us on the bench. Do I think he's the end-all be-all to us cutting a net down? No, but I think it's a good start. And what else can they do? Right? We all clamor for PJ Tucker. Well, are we not in win-now mode? Like, we are in win-now mode for the next 3 to 4 years. So what do you got to do to win now? And I'm all in for PJ Tucker. I'm all in for Harden's decision. It opens up so much flexibility for this basketball team moving forward and really puts them in the position to be successful. But I'll say this last thing I'll say is that, man, you got a copycat around this league. And for years, nobody just goes and gets a bunch of stars and just wins like that. Like, that even still takes a minute. LeBron in Miami took a minute, right? For them to gel, right? It took a full year for them to really gel together. Okay? AD coming with LeBron, there, I get. But, like, Toronto was built within. You know what I mean? Toronto built up with core guys, and then they got Kawhi, right? So, like, these teams build it the right way. Like, okay, Golden State built it the right way. They get Durant for the years they got him, and then they go and get a guy like Wiggins. But their core was built through them. And in reality, our core of Joel, Maxie, and even Tobias, because he's been here for a while, that core is built through us. That's built like within, right? And you're not star hunting. Harden was your star hunt to get rid of Ben. But I think you're doing it the right way. Now it's like, dude, you don't need another star. You need to figure out, how can I make this bench deeper and stronger to go with the guys I have? Because if I can complement them well with good bench pieces, you're in good shape. So that's where I stand. There's my rant.
I'll go real quick. So I actually agree to the poll. If we were doing it kind of our way, if we made the decision, I would be right there with you, Tom, where I wouldn't have PJ Tucker be the starting 3 or 4. But I think that's what they're going to do based off of, he was in the starting 3 and 4 spot, depending on the matchup for the Bucks 2 years ago. He was their starting 4 in Miami last year. So I think they're just going to kind of be like, okay, we're signing you for 3 years, 30. Maybe in year 2 and 3, you more so go into that bench role, that first or second guy off the bench. But I think right now, because of how restricted they are with that with that wing spot, that second forward spot, I think they're going to look at it where, okay, if Matisse Thybulle is here, unless he takes gigantic leaps, in training camp, and even then you really have no good basis of what he's going to be until you see him in game time. I think when they weigh, okay, Matisse Thybulle starting, and he's really just a specialist to this point in his career, or PJ Tucker, who has done it for a majority of his career, especially the last 2, in serious playoff minutes, I think they'll rely on that. Now, by season's end, could he be more of a bench guy, kind of like what Danny Green was in year 2, where he started on the bench and then he was kind of that first guy off the bench type thing? Yeah, and maybe he finishes some games. But I think the only way he's not in your starting 5, I completely agree with you. Like, I don't think they're trading Tobias now. Really, like, unless you can get like a wow offer, and I'm sure this won't be popular for some people, I don't think there's really a big need to trade Tobias Harris. Like, I get it. We have our annoyances with him. He's a good player making great money. I really don't give a damn about that. It's not my money. And you're seeing now, because Harden takes less, Tobias's money's not restricting you from anything. So you're not, that's a moot point now. If it was a situation where you couldn't build out the roster and you could only bring in like one guy at the vet minimum because Tobias's contract, okay, then we could talk about the money. But he proved in the latter part of the season, and especially in the playoffs, that he does have a role alongside Tyrese, Joel, and Harden. Tucker, I mean, listen, do I love giving a 36, 37-year-old 3 years, $30 million? No. But your MVP candidate named him, in the press conference 5 minutes after he got eliminated, saying, we want a PJ Tucker. They went and got the actual PJ Tucker. So if that's going to be his guy, great. But I do think that's our starting 5. I prefer to be the bench because I feel like him coming off the bench makes it that much stronger. But I do think 95% of the team as it stands, once Tucker is here, is going to be the roster. I don't think anything splashy is coming.
Yeah, I just think it's a weird poll question because, like, starting 5 is fluid when you talk about an open spot at the 3 when one guy's really not a 3 anymore in his career. So, like, that's why he doesn't start. Like, there are more matchups than not. The 3 is way too athletic for PJ Tucker. Like, yeah, he can hang with a Durant come playoff time. Regular season, like, is a little bit different to me, especially where he ups his game at. That's why I just feel like, you know what, they would because they have so much scoring in their starting 4 that they can get away with a Matisse. But does that mean like Matisse might start one game, PJ might start the next, back and forth? That's why it's a weird poll, and it should be like, well, really, it's undecided. That's why I said like all 5 guys are on the roster. I just don't know who's starting. Like if we played the Nets game 1 of the year, then I think this is your starting 5, right? So I just think it all depends really, and it's not a cop-out for any of us. It really depends on matchup. So I don't think there's a right answer to this poll question. Like the only right answer is these 5, not right answer, but the only like the hill you can stand on for any of us is saying these 5 guys are on this basketball team. Like that's sort of where it ends. Like besides that, it's really just like, well, like we just talked about, it's one of those tricky ones where like, oh, well, like game 1, that could be your starting 5. And then like, oh, well, if you disagreed, you're wrong. But then game 2, like Matisse could start because they're playing, I don't know.
The magic.
Yeah. Name a 3 that's like that athletic where like, that ain't going to work. You're like almost too slow. We already had a slow defense to begin with. Like, I don't think starting PJ Tucker helps your basketball team at the 3. Now, like the last 5 minutes of a basketball game, different conversation.
Yeah, I mean, to the poll, I disagree. Kind of on your wavelength, Tommy. I just think at this point in his career, he's not a 3. When I hear PJ Tucker, I think of 4. You know what I mean? Can he play the player playing the 3 at times? During certain matchups of the game, yes. But I don't think he's going to necessarily start. Kind of as you mentioned as well, could he end the game playing the 3 position in theory? Yes. Is he going to see a lot of time coming off of our bench? Yes. But I think the starting role, if he's on the team, is going to go to Matisse or of course I got to plug my son, Furky.
Christ.
But if you look at the outside of that, if you look at the rest of that lineup, what is that lineup doesn't need scoring. That lineup does need somebody athletic that can get in some passing lanes, that can stop, that can let a guy go past him and then block his shot from the back and start a break, right? And that's what Matisse does great. He lets guards go right by him, and then he makes up for it with his athleticism and his speed to get him from behind. So that's where I think they go as long as he's on the roster. Just because I don't think he fits that second unit as much as he fits the starting unit, right? That second unit is going to come off the bench and give you some instant offense, right? And give you some instant scoring, or it's at least set up and designed to do that. Matisse doesn't fit that role. I think Matisse fits better on this team as a starter that sees limited minutes throughout the rest of the game. So that's where I'll go.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting poll question because there's so many dynamics to what James Harden and the Sixers have pulled today that there's a lot of question marks that are still going to go forward because you now have a mid-level exception. You have a biannual exception now, which is going to free up another $4.95 or $4.05 million. So you're looking at potentially bringing in two players already on top of you already went out and you got Melton in the trade draft night, who's going to be, I think, is a young guy who still has growth there and is going to be a piece off of the bench. I'm not convinced yet that Matisse is even going to be on this team when the season starts. Mm-hmm. But I do think if he is, ideally, he should be in that starting role because we've proven that we can win with him in the starting lineup. Okay, the whole issue through the playoffs was we need guys on the second unit and we need role players. We need guys who have veteran experience in the playoffs, and we saw what PJ Tucker can do firsthand. So I look at this, and I saw a great name thrown out there. Patty Mills is a guy who's available, and that's depending on what some of these guys get. Because I would love to see a Drummond come back, maybe for that biannual exception amount. But it just depends if a team's going to overpay him. I think there's a mutual interest there. But the fact that Harden takes less money, and listen, say he's going to take $35 million for somebody to leave $12+ million on the table in the NBA is almost unheard of these days. It really is. It doesn't happen very often, especially at 32 years of age. A guy might be 34, 35, 36 and start looking at that. But for him to leave that money on the table, to make a commitment to the organization that he was only with for 2 months to try to win, I think it speaks volumes. But in terms of how this team is constructed, it makes no sense to me to have Patty Mills in the starting, or I'm sorry, PJ Tucker in the starting lineup. Absolutely no sense in that. So,
agreed. Noah?
Well, the way I see it, I think Matisse. I think he's your starter. I think he'll be. So I guess essentially I'm disagreeing with the poll. I think Thybulle will be a starter, and I think Tucker will come off the bench. Really, when you look at a lot of championship teams, you can even go back to the 90s with the Chicago Bulls Jordan teams. You name it. You look at Golden State with Curry and the Splash Brothers. Of course, it's a star-driven league. You have, without those stars, those teams don't win those chips, right? But they all of those teams, they had key role players. You can go back to those Spurs teams with Duncan, all right, and Tony Parker and company. Well, and Manu Ginobili. Well, you know who they had? They had Bruce Bowen, who played outstanding defense, and other guys who fit their role perfectly. And that's what makes a championship team. Of course, we've seen some teams, throw a bunch of stars together and not get a damn thing done. So I think the lesson to be learned here is, especially if you're the Sixers, and, I don't want to say the clock is ticking, but, that window is 3 or 4 years, and you hope barring injuries or anything anything unforeseen, you hope it doesn't all of a sudden slam shut on you in a year or two. So really the time is now, and they need to pull out all the stops. And really it's obviously, and you guys alluded to it earlier, it's improving this bench. And I think Tucker is a great way to go there. I know he's 37, but we're a win now team. I mean, let's stop trying to, wait for that 25-year-old with promise, so to speak. And, maybe by the time he's 30, he'll be great. I mean, fuck that. I mean, this team's ready to win now. And, I would hope that they're attacking the offseason that way. And really, for me, it's improve the bench, and improve the bench. And if they do that, maybe we'll finally get out of the damn second round.
Brandon, I think you're wrong, with all due respect. I mean, who is? I like PJ Tucker a ton, but who the hell is PJ Tucker at this point of his career to be demanding he start somewhere? Like, I think we get misguided in starting. Like, it's about, are you playing meaningful minutes with the last 8 minutes of an NBA game? Because if you ever watch NBA basketball, I can tell who the best players and who teams trust the most because they're playing the last 8 minutes. Just 101. Okay. He's coming here, Brandon, because he's getting more money. Because you're overpaying for him to come here and do what
the ones to overpay.
Yeah, you're coming here because I'm going to pay you more, and you're going to do what I say. That's the difference. That's why would leave Miami or Milwaukee. And let's not act like I don't know. I guess he did start. But the role of him starting was at the 4 in Milwaukee, and the role of him starting was at the 4 in Miami. He wasn't starting at a 3. Like, that's also a disadvantage of PJ Tucker. If I'm PJ Tucker, I'm saying, whoa. I'm not trying to go against wings every fucking night. I'm 37 years old. Like, you know what I mean? I'm going to get exposed defensively. So come on, Brandon. I love you, but you've had a lot of bad takes recently. And I just want you to lock in. You know what I mean? Just lock in. This is what we're here for. We're here to educate your ass. And I love you, and I appreciate you on every show. It's Agree or Disagree Radio. So you drive it. Outlandish comments drive shows. So this to me is outlandish. Like, he would go back to Milwaukee Miami because he loves it there. And it has nothing to do with him starting. Like, now we're
right, Brandon. I've made a few outlandish comments.
Yeah, he's coming here because he's getting
prima donna. I mean, that's what pretty much you called him. Like, he's tough as nails, but we pretty much called him a prima donna.
He's coming here because he's getting $10+ million when he's 39 years old. That's why he's coming here.
Yeah.
Like, oh wait, you can guarantee me $10+ million for the next 3 years? You guys realize I'm gonna be 37, right?
To your point too, Tom, when you talked about earlier about Tobias getting moved, I think we all could have figured that ended when draft night passed, because the only way you're moving that contract is with draft capital. Correct. And they don't have any draft capital to move at this point. 23 was your draft capital to throw in with him. So as soon as the draft passed and he was still here, he's going to be here through next year. So hopefully Tobias can have a similar regular season and a better playoff run and at least get something out of him. But at the end of the day, guys, I mean, there's going to be names out there. And I heard Ryan throw a couple out earlier in our chat where, DiVincenzo, I think, is going to get paid a little bit more than what we have. But there is a couple of names.
But
I do like Patty
He's a
Mills.
local guy. We have to bring him
He's
back.
Delaware Jordan. What do you mean,
from Villanova?
Ralphie, go real quick, and then we'll get into those names. I want to make sure you go.
I'm gonna disagree to the poll as well. I think at the age that PJ Tucker is right now, at 37 years old, and you guys were touching a little bit on it. When he was with Milwaukee, he was obviously at the 4. Miami was at the 4, and at the age of right now, it's going to be a challenge for him to keep up with small forwards at his age with 37. I think the smart move is to start Thybulle and then bring him off the bench. Now, whether they do that or not, to me, I would start PJ Tucker just because of the money he's making, and it makes a little bit more sense where you could probably switch the roles of, you could probably put Harris at the 3 and then put Tucker at the 4 and then work it like that. But they just have them to play the same role on the court. No. But to the poll, I disagree. I think Tucker comes off the bench.
Harris can no longer play the 3. We can stop that count. We can stop that conversation right now. Tobias Harris can no longer play the 3. He barely could early in his career when he didn't have so much weight on it. And I'm not saying he's fat.
No, he purposely gained weight.
He purposely gained weight so that he was
a defensive stopper.
Was adequate in the block.
Yes, yeah.
So that he was a more athletic 4 as opposed to being an unathletic 3.
Yeah, he would be like honestly, he would be more of a disaster at the 3 than PJ Tucker. Like he just would be. And like he's a very good defensive player. We saw what he did with Siakam. We saw what he did with Ochua and guys. Like he can defend guys. He can't defend small forwards though. Like no, we're not gonna do that.
Brandon, real quick, right before you go.
Yeah, you're fine.
No, because you're not outlandish with that, Brandon, because we actually agreed on that one. Me, you, and DJ, Brandon agreed on not trading Maxie for Kevin Durant, and people laughed at us, and there's reasons for that I wouldn't. I think Kevin Durant is sensational. I think he's arguably one of the best scorers that I've seen watching in my time of basketball. Okay, I think him and Joel Embiid on a court is a fucking problem for people. Okay, but I also think he's a snake. I also think he's a loser. All right, and I'll never respect what he did, the way he did it. You can't go to the team that just beat your ass. You go somewhere else then. Go to Washington where you grew up at, right? Go somewhere else and start a super team to beat the team that just beat you. That would mean that you got a big old sack. But the way you did it tells me your balls are like this big. They're little baby balls. Where's Kevin's balls? Nobody can see them. All right, that's what that tells me. When you run from stuff or run to stuff that just beats you, I check motherfuckers' manhoods. I do. And that's not ever going to take away how great he's going to be. But listen, I think Tyrese Maxey has a chance to be a top 15 player in this league one day. Not in like the whole history of basketball. I'm saying like there'll be a point of time where Tyrese Maxey is a top 15 to 20 player in this league. I'm not telling you it's next year. I'm just telling you that's going to happen at some point.
Just out of curiosity in your head, when is that? Because I don't think you're far off on that. It's just a matter of that's kind of in my head where it was too. He might crack top 25, top 30 this year, and then make that leap. It all depends on his leaps, right? If you take the leap that he made from year 1 to year 2, because remember, I mean, there was parts of year 1 where we were worried about Tyrese because of a lot of those did not play coach's decision, right, during the middle of the year when he kind of hit that wall. But then towards the end of his rookie year, he found that juice again, and he found that energy that he was missing during that middle portion of his rookie year. Which, hey, every rookie goes through that. But that jump that he made from year 1 to year 2 doesn't make that comment that crazy to think if he makes the same types of jump, it very well could be 2 years. I agree. That's kind of what I had in my head. I just wanted to see where your head was.
If he makes the same jump he made, from year 1 to year 2, from year 2 to year 3, then he might be in it this year. To your point, right? So it's crazy, Brandon. I'm not letting personal feelings get in the way. I don't play personal agendas. I play what I believe in, and what I believe in is that's a pussy move. Like that's what I believe in. I believe that guy will never win again. That's what I believe in. All right, he just tried to win like that in Brooklyn. And they all fell on their face. All right. And they were, odds-on favorite, the Brooklyn Nets. How'd that age for them? Okay. And don't tell me about, his foot was on the line. They're a foot behind the line or a toe behind the line away from going to an NBA Finals. Well, guess what, honey? That toe was on the line, wasn't it? Basketball guys have a weird way of showing their true colors, too. So miss me with going to one of the greatest teams ever assembled to chase your rings. Congratulations. You have 2 rings and nobody can ever take it away from you. But I feel like your lady at home isn't getting what she deserves. That's all. I'll leave it at that.
Wayne asks, how are we getting PJ Tucker? What about Beal? I'm only asking because I don't know either player very well. So they're going to use the non-tax paying mid-level exception, which is 10.4, Crum, 10.5.
Yeah.
10.349, I think.
Oh my God, right in the middle.
We're going down to the dollar.
10.4 and 28 cents. That'll be going to PJ Tucker.
You can tell he's a banker.
Yeah. Going right down to the decimals. That'll be going to PJ Tucker.
We're round up less. Sorry, we're like, I'm gonna round that up. Yeah.
We're even numbers. 5, 10 million. Yeah, whatever.
Just give him 11. That way it's easier math. It's fine. Just on the house. Just get him to 11.
I gotta get a fucking calculator out now to see how much cap space we have left.
Well, listen, if Harden didn't take that pay cut, it would be the calculator because it would be very small. We'd be talking pennies. We would
legit be cutting into the decimal points at that point to get every little bit out of it.
Correct. And then the other part of your question, Wayne, and this isn't directed to you, Wayne. This is directed to like the 90 people in our comment section today. Stop talking about Bradley Beal. We get it. He opted out. He opted out so he can sign the Supermax. That's what you have to do. He's like everyone that's like, oh, you got to go out and get Bradley Beal, or even the people that went as far as to say, and I have screenshots that way, just in case, just to have, that were like, oh, this doesn't mean Harden's staying. This could mean he's signing for extra with a smaller team. Yeah, because he's going to opt out of 47 to take 45 with Sacramento, right? Like that's what he's going to do. Please. Like Beal's not coming here. Harden's not leaving here. It's very simple. They did this to get.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, you're fine.
No, Beal, he could go somewhere else. I'm not saying here. He could go somewhere else, getting $30 million a year trying to win. Maybe. I'll never say that can't happen. But what I will say is he didn't opt out to come here. He opted out to either get the Supermax like you're talking about or somebody that's willing to max him that can win. So it's one of the two. It's not guaranteed going back to Washington, which I believe that's probably where he's going to go because he's a loser too. But, and I say this with all due respect to these guys. Like, if you want to just stay somewhere, you're a loser. Like, Dame, loser. Like, I'll just continue. I'll just go down the list. You could say that, oh, it's their pride. Like, is it? Or you're just chasing your dollars. And you're making every dollar you can get before your career's over and stat stuffing your way into the easiest Hall of Fame in history, which is the NBA.
The thing with Bradley Beal is if he goes elsewhere, it's still going to have to be a sign and trade because he's getting his max money. So that's not going to fit here. We don't have the pieces to move Bradley to make a move for Bradley Beal regardless. So a team like Boston, who might move a Jaylen Brown, that's a team that could end up finding space for Bradley Beal if he decides to go elsewhere. But all signs, I mean, we say it all the time, where there's smoke, there's fire. And all signs are pointing to a return to Washington.
And sadly, from a basketball standpoint, unless you're moving on from Harden, which I would completely be okay with, Bradley Beal doesn't fit the roster, right? Like there's no room for him. You're not running three guards under 6 foot or under 6'2" in your backcourt, right? You know what I mean? Like, Bradley Beal just doesn't fit anymore.
And
from a basketball standpoint.
And he's also an injury issue, guys. The guy's hurt all the time.
Well, and for everyone, like I cannot believe the amount of people today, like people with check marks too. They're like, "Oh, this opens it up." You saw it too, Krim. Like check mark people that were like, "This opens it up for them to go after Bradley Beal." Guys,
no,
this like he would literally. Sorry, Ralphie, if this is too soon. He would have to do what Kyrie was reported to do with the Lakers. Like he would have to literally take like $6 million. Again, sorry, Ralphie, if it's too soon. But you know what I'm saying? Like he's not coming here. And listen, he's a very good player. Bradley Beal on this team is probably better without Bradley Beal, even though it doesn't fit. One thing about this offseason, I will be so happy to just never talk about Bradley Beal ever again. Like I'm tired. We've been talking about it for like 6 years. He doesn't fit here. He's never leaving Washington. Like, can we just move on, please? Like, it's mathematically impossible to get Bradley Beal here. Mathematically impossible.
Yeah, Steve, you're wrong.
And logically. We don't have Jaylen Brown to move an asset, a long-term piece that Washington could have back in return.
And Bradley Beal can't play the small forward. He can't play the small forward.
And James and
Tobias can't, PJ Tucker can't.
No.
Now we're just gonna put Bradley Beal's name. We want all these guys, and nobody can fit the spot that we need filled.
Correct.
You know what's funny, Steve? I didn't say because KD left. I said because this is where people just like don't listen. I said because he left and went to the team that just beat his ass. That was the issue. Not leaving. I said he should have went somewhere else and started his own little super team to compete with the Warriors. And what I'm saying about Dame and Beal is, what have they won with their air quote loyalty? Or do they get more money by staying where they're at? That's basketball 101. That's how it works. That's the Larry Bird rights for a reason to keep people staying in one market. Okay? So that's why, hence, I called them losers, because I feel like they're just chasing the dollar. Like, I don't have a problem with you staying somewhere you like to stay, but it's understand how the money works if you stay somewhere. Make up your mind.
Did you see, speaking of making up their minds, report that Portland's willing to give Dame like another extension worth up to $100 million? Like, what do you like? Listen, this could age terribly if I say this, but up to this point, it's aged beautifully for both of their careers. If I was Washington, I'm moving Beal because Beal's been awesome for years, and you haven't won anything. I'm not saying it's a one-man team, but like you can't win like that, especially if nobody's going there. And the Damian Lillard thing, I know they're trying to build a super team. A, nobody wants to go to Portland. B, Jeremy Grant's not going to save you because Jeremy Grant's hurt like almost as much as anybody else is. Like giving Damian Lillard like $50 million in 4 years, which he's going to get, and Bradley Beal close to that in like year 3, I'm good. Like I'm good. Like I'll go. It's easy to say, but like I'll go the Warriors route or the Celtics route where like I'm building from within. Like when I know guys aren't going to come there to join him, which never happened with Dame, has never happened with Beal in Washington, I'm good. Like I'm just moving on. I'm moving on from both of them. I'm not going to command like $250 million over 5 years to an undersized point guard who's going to get hurt all the time. I'm sorry. Like I know that's not flashy. I'm sure that's not going to sell tickets, but Washington's going to remain exactly where they are. And look, and Molly says, and he's a Washington fan. Beal is our star. Let us in Washington enjoy him. Yes, you're going to enjoy him. And the 9th seed. Like that. I'm sorry, Molly. I love you, but like that's what it's going to be. The one thing I wanted to, and Chrome, you brought this up. What if we're all wrong with this poll question? What if it's not Tucker, which we all know it shouldn't be at the 3? What if it's not Matisse either? What if it's somebody who's not even here?
I'm not convinced that Matisse isn't going to get moved still. He's your only trade asset. If the right move comes along, him and Furkan, I think Furkan is expendable now that you went out and got Melton. I mean, to me, I never see Furkan, Greg's boy, ever suit up in a Sixers uniform again. I'll be good. I'm good with that.
Well, Doc and Daryl's comments from draft night, mostly Daryl, but it was in behalf of Doc too. He said that Isaiah Joe and Jaden Springer are going to get a lot more playing time this year. So you know who that directly affects? Furkan Korkmaz.
I mean,
really. Jaden Springer's a point guard, right?
Isaiah Joe is literally Furkan Korkmaz, but he
plays more
skinny.
than I mean, whatever. I mean, 2 guard, 12 forward, kind of same thing. Kind of different a little bit though too.
Korkmaz stinks, man. He stinks.
It's fine.
I mean, Melton
23 years old. He's cheap.
But Melton can play. Yeah, he's cheap, but Melton can play both positions, and he's cheap too, and he's 24 years old. He's a better Furkan.
He might be better. But I'm just saying he's only making $3 million, $4 million a year.
Right. Well, I mean, we're splitting pennies now when we talk about those two guys of who makes more. Okay, I mean, it's not anything drastic, but to me, right now, all the moves that they've made and the guys that bringing Shake back, all these guys are going to cut into the guard minutes. There's only so many minutes, and there's a ton of guards on this team. I would rather see them give Isaiah Joe an opportunity. I think that's a kid who actually took advantage of the opportunities that he got and showed a little something.
Yeah, your guards right now, you've obviously got the 2 up top, Harden and Maxie. You've got Melton, and Melton's your backup shooting guard. They're rumored to go out and get either a Schroeder or a Patty Mills. So you're not playing Furkan over either one of those. And
I'd love to have Patty. My concern with getting Patty, and I'd love to get Patty Mills. If we're giving Tucker the full mid-level exception, and we're going to use that biannual exception, it's under $5 million. And Patty Mills just declined an option for 6.2. So I look at these guys who are turning down more money to go out and get more years and more money. I find it hard to believe. I would love to have them. And again, we'll see what cap space they have in terms of when we get the exact money that Harden ends up going or taking, whether it's 32, 33, 35. But I find it hard to believe that and I'd love him. Same thing with DiVincenzo. I heard you throw his name out there, I think, earlier, Ryan. Mm-hmm. Another name, I'd love to bring him in and give him a chance. And hometown guy, get all that. But guys won a championship, he can ball. I just don't know that the money's going to be right for a guy like that. I think Andre Drummond is more of a sensible name and fills a need. He's proven he's been the best backup center you've had. And you talk about a guy that you have 15 minutes will grab 15 rebounds. And we needed. We got crushed on the boards in the playoffs. Even with Joel in the lineup. That second unit, nobody could rebound.
If Andre Drummond wants an extension like he probably wants, towards, not the tail end of his career, but getting later into his career, right? If he wants that extension, it's playing behind Joel Embiid. Like, that's where you get the best Andre Drummond. If Andre Drummond is your starter, he gets exposed very quickly in this league, today's day and age. So his best spot to get paid, right, or win is right here with Joel Embiid. And I think he understands that. I'm not telling you he's going to come here for $1 million, but I think that, like Crum said, I think that's one of the most realistic names. Like, I think Tucker and Drummond are both on this roster. And like Javon said, if it's Melton, Tucker, and Drummond were your upgrades on your bench per se, I don't need anything else. Like, I think we're just now trying to move and shake way too many things, because then you have Shake, who's a really good player, in my opinion, when he's healthy. He can score in this league. Melton can score. Tucker can score. Drummond gives you what Drummond gives you, and then you still have Niang. Like, I listen, I'm set.
Another guy, I didn't even think about Niang.
Like, so you can fucking miss me on Isaiah Joe because he stinks. I'll just be honest with you. He's not ever going to be good enough. Jaden Springer, maybe. We haven't seen him play, but I'm good. I'm trying to win a championship, right? Like Doc said. And listen, I know people crush him for it, but when you're trying to win a championship, you can't go play projects. Like, you can't. You cannot in this league play projects meaningful minutes if you're really trying to win a championship. Charles Bassey, Paul Reed are projects. Isaiah Joe is a project. Jaden Springer is a project. Guess what? Tyrese Maxey wasn't a project, so you can play him. That's how this works. And I'm not defending Doc. I'm just telling you to look around the NBA and tell me on winning teams what projects get meaningful minutes.
No, you're absolutely right. You can't, and this was the issue with the bench, you can't go from having James Harden on the floor to Isaiah Joe. You can't. And this is no disrespect to Isaiah Joe. You can't go from having, and you saw this, you can't go from having Joel Embiid on the floor to B-Ball Paul. No disrespect, but unfortunately we saw the results of it. And Chrome, the biggest thing, aside from the fact that, of how much sense it makes for Andre Drummond to come back here, it makes the most sense for the Sixers because it's the one center, I would argue, period, in the Embiid era that was not an experiment. Like, what you're getting from Drummond. And listen, what you're getting from Dwight Howard, but that wasn't always a good thing. Like, Dwight Howard was just like the older B-ball Paul, like walks on the floor, 3 fouls.
Dwight Howard was a walking foul call. Absolutely.
And then with a mix-in of a technical. So, like, I don't need experiments anymore. But you just lined up, Tom, like, say, for example, you have a Melton and a Milton and a Niang and a Drummond, and a Tucker. That's a lot of bench minutes that are already made up. And that was before, like, we didn't even name Thybulle or Furkan. So that's why, like, going back to the question, like, could they end up being moved for something? And like, I truly think they're going to be, and I'll just throw this out there. And I don't love the name, but I think it makes sense. I think there's a very good chance it's going to be Matisse Thybulle and Furkan Korkmaz going to Dallas and us getting back Reggie Bullock, who can play the 3.
Well, I want to throw in too. Okay, so we're talking about all these young guys, right? First of all, the Isaiah Joe thing was in terms of if I have him or Furkan, I'm going with Isaiah Joe over Furkan, for me personally. That being said, I see what you're talking about. I'm not convinced because who's going to be on this roster, because I'm looking at it, and again, we're talking about Matisse is a piece that can be moved. Greg Furkan is a piece that can be moved because he is a serviceable guy who's has a team-friendly contract, who has a little bit of a value if he's a throw-in piece. And I look at, not much, but Paul Reed, I think, built a little bit of stock behind himself. So if you go out and sign an Andre Drummond, maybe you stash Bassey, let him kind of learn under the tree between Drummond and Embiid, you can then use Paul Reed as an asset to move as well. So you have these young pieces who aren't going to fit this team, to Tom's point, that are project guys that aren't going to contribute to a championship team this year, even maybe next year. but can bring a value back now. And they have enough of a little bit of a salary, particularly with Matisse being the centerpiece of any deal, that you can go to a team who's not expecting to win. And whether they get moved before the season starts, or I could see it something before the trade deadline. 1, 2, or 3 of those guys getting moved. So poll question's a little bit weird. I know we've been circling around it. I'm not convinced that we're even close yet to what this roster is going to look like when the season starts. I think we're looking at 3 or 4 more. Now, everybody's thinking 2. I'm thinking 3 or 4 more additions might happen on this team. And 1 or 2 deductions, and it's not going to be Tobias.
Niang might get moved too, guys. We have to remember that too, because if Tucker comes in here and he's playing that backup 4, where's Niang playing? And like Niang got exposed, like he's no more than like a 10-minute a game guy. He's just a shooting specialist. He's way too out of shape to play anymore. Where's Niang playing? He can't play the 3. He can't play the 5. Like,
Yeah, I mean, unless you run
3 minutes out of him.
Yeah, unless you run super small and he's your 4, Tucker's your 5. You know what I mean? In those scenarios where you're going up against, I don't know what team. You know what I mean? Like I don't know who's gonna run it on the other side, right? You know what I mean? Because obviously you need to, figure that out. But no, it's absolutely correct. What I wanted to ask: did Patty Mills win a chip with San Antonio when he was there?
Yes.
Was he part of those chip teams?
Yes.
He did get at least one.
Yeah, I don't know how many, but he was.
Okay. Because I was trying to think if he turned down the option, year he had to go somewhere to win a chip, knowing, Brooklyn's going to be a hot mess, right? But if he's already got the chip, then he didn't turn it down to go to a better situation. He turned it down, obviously, to hope to get more money.
Royal, he's the definition of a specialist. He shoots, so he does.
I had seen Bobby Portis's name thrown out there earlier. Bobby Portis, he declined his option because he's going to be getting 4 years and $40 to $49 million a year. Yeah. He's not coming here either because then if you're signing him, you're not signing PJ Tucker. Honestly, I would take Bobby Portis over PJ Tucker at this point in his career, but I digress. He's going to end up re-signing in Milwaukee and getting a PJ Tucker type of deal. So that's another name, just in case. I don't know if anybody's thrown it in the chat, but I've heard that name thrown out a lot. You could take that name off the list too.
This is not that common. I'm looking for.
At this point, I would be shocked if we did not get PJ Tucker.
Tom, I knew you were going to that. Tom, I saved that for you. I knew you were going to that comment.
I'm tired for this. God, I'm exhausted. Come on.
I ain't been on a while, and I know that Anthony's going to throw a take out there like this. It's good to see you, Anthony. Been a long time, buddy.
The good player? I mean, okay, if you say so. I never
He's an energy guy, Tom. It's my favorite thing, an energy guy.
I love the energy shit.
And an energy and effort guy.
He's an energy and effort guy, and he gets fucking 5 fouls in 7 minutes. So he kills you then. That's not energy. That's a clueless basketball player. What the fuck are we talking about? Why in this city do we continue to praise trash? And now I am going to call him trash because you want to overrate him, then I'm going to call him trash. He's
Travis Fulgham.
We don't know what he is.
Tony Bradley.
We don't know what he is. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. We crush superstars and praise freaking not even role players like they're show ponies. We run around like Paul Reed's a show pony. Would you tell your friends, well, the Sixers got a bright future with Paul Reed here. Would you say that to
Walker?
Oh.
What are you talking about, KZ?
He can hit an open shot.
Matisse stinks, KZ. It's fine.
I'm not even gonna say Matisse stinks. I think he has a skill set that at some point can translate in this league, right? I think he does have his skill set, right? Where he's an athletic wing, and we've seen him keep up and slow down arguably the greatest shooter of all time. We watched that game. And if you watch that game, you say to yourself, okay, I can see where the great defender comes in. And there's also other games where I watch guys just go right by him. So but I guess that's also around the league. Yeah, I guess that's also around the league. But if he developed himself a serviceable enough 3-point shot, I think he's a very important player. The teams around the league, I would not great, but very good.
I just don't see it happening though, because to me, I look at him.
I'm not saying it does. I don't know
everything that so when I look at Matisse and what he should be, is what Andre Iguodala ended up becoming, right? And what he really was here, but everybody wanted him to be more. Where if he can
got
do
screwed
lockdown
here.
defense and he can average you 12 points a game, that's a guy who on a championship team has a key role. But when I watch him on offense, it hurts me. It is painful to watch Matisse on offense, to watch how inefficient that he is. And for as great as he is on defense, and I get it, you can't have a guy on an offense on a team like this who contributes nothing offensively and is almost a detriment. And that's what I'm looking at. This is like, I know he's young, and I'm trying not to crush the kid. There's a value there, but I don't
he's
see
a
how
one-way player.
And you can't have one way on a championship team, Noah. And that's the problem.
Oh, I hear you.
Could fit.
Not in a major
Go
league,
elsewhere
right?
and develop that. We don't have the luxury on this team to develop that. If you can go and get an asset, and I'm not saying trade for a 35-year-old player to fill that role, but if you can move him with somebody who's coming off of their rookie deal and somehow find a way to work something out, I'm moving him. I want a guy who's established, who can maybe play a little less of an adequate defense, but put the fucking ball in the hole. And that's what they need.
Chrome, to your point, and this is why, and listen, I hope I'm dead wrong about the guy. I hope I'm absolutely wrong about Matisse. But the reason why I go to Matisse stinks, it's because it would be one thing if he marginally has improved going into year, 4? At least
I feel like
4.
he regressed.
No, you don't feel it, Chrome. He has from his rookie season to present, he has gone from a guy who was an adequate shooter, would at least attempt some layups, go to the foul line, make them. He would get some deflection, all that, not really pick up any fouls, to where periodically he now shoots less at a worse clip, so he's less of a threat to shoot. And when he does, he shoots worse. He gets to the foul line less. He fouls more, gets less deflections. Like, do you see a trend? Like, it would be one thing if he was going up 0.1% in free throws or 0.5% in three-point shooting and, maybe a deflection a game. But he's literally gotten worse in every asset of his game.
We're praising a guy, Ryan, who, when you're in the starting lineup, you fall into points at some points. You have to, on the floor, especially if you're playing a 3 or you have to fall, or a 2 or a 3. You have to fall into some points where the ball's going to swing around and he's big and he's athletic, drive and dunk the ball, whatever. It's a guy who's now past year 3 and is averaging 4.8 points for his career. His career high is 5.7 points a game. 5.7, that was last year. And that's in 25 and a half minutes. So he's playing more, and he's averaging for his career under 4.5 points a game. That's not going to work, even for a defensive specialist on a championship team.
The only thing I'm going to say about it is, like, you can be in the middle of it, right? Like, I'm not going to sit here and call a guy trash, but I'm also not going to overvalue a guy, right? Like,
correct.
Like, I'm in the middle. Like, some nights he's fucking flat out trash. I understand he didn't develop in year 2 or 3, whatever freaking year it is for him. Okay, I understand the shot hasn't gotten there. Doesn't mean he can't become serviceable at it. Doesn't mean it'll never happen. I don't know, but what I do know is he's a really good defender, right? So he can be an asset to you. He can be. Now, does that mean he's special? No. Does that mean he's great? No. Does that mean he's good? No. That just means he's serviceable. I'm saying what can get him to be good and really help you is what you guys are touching on, is just the ability to stretch the floor a little bit. Okay. And will that ever happen? I don't think any of us have that answer. We can assume no, but we don't have that answer. This year is going to be that year. If he doesn't take a jump again in the one glaring weakness of his game, well, then guess what? Then it's time to move on. But if he continues to become a better and better defender, I can't act like that doesn't matter. That's all I'm saying. When you have enough scoring around him, like if he had to be a scorer, he's your second, third option. Okay, then it might be time to hang up the Sixers, right? But if he's your 5th option in your starting lineup, I think we're going to be all right.
I just want to add this real quick thing, because some of the things in the chat, I get it. Like, we fall in love with guys, especially if like have a vlog camera, if like they have like a thing, right?
I'm not in love with him.
No, not you. Like, you're actually being more fair with him than I am. But like this is what makes me go to like he just stinks. Because like first off, I don't understand like why we're comparing PJ Tucker to Matisse Thybulle. That's a wild comparison to me because they don't play the same position, and like I just don't know where that comes from.
One guy's a proven winner and a proven tough guy. Like,
well, aside from that, like if we're not even just going to take like things that like you can visually see by having eyes. Okay, you want me to name the one of the 70 things that PJ Tucker does better than Matisse Thybulle? I don't know. The fact that he was number 1 in the NBA in corner threes, and Matisse Thybulle was third worst in the NBA over his career. That's one. That's pretty important, especially when you have a James Harden coming off of screens, Joel Embiid who's double teamed and he's going to always kick it out. Like
those
that's kind of important.
They're there.
Say it again.
So those opportunities for those wide open 3-pointers are there.
He misses them.
Danny Green has made a career of the corner three. Like, so that's one. And the second thing is it's like, I will give him the benefit of the doubt and say, hey, young player, some guys take a couple extra years. But the reason why I don't, it's because this fan base is in love with a guy who, he's a good defender. Yeah. But 2, he has regressed every year. He is the less dramatic Ben Simmons, who's also from Australia, by the way. So maybe we should just like stop getting these Australian guys.
Oh, you know where he was drafted him from, right?
Washington. Yeah, of course.
Washington.
My worry with him too is we tend to hang on to people in this city, not just with the Sixers, across the board in the city. We hang on to people for too long, hoping they're going to hit their potential. And it never comes along. And there's still a value for Matisse, despite the fact, because of the defensive reputation that he does have, even though we see on a night in, night out basis, it's there more often than not, but some nights it's not there. I worry. I feel like this is the time to make the move. If we're all in, if we're really going in for this year specifically, which is what has been put out there by Shams and everybody else, that there is a major focus, not just on the next 2 or 3 years, but this upcoming season. I think that you have to move Matisse. If he's here, he has to start, and as the game goes on, minimize his minutes. But I think that you can move him and get a better asset for this team.
So percentage chance, I'll poll the room in the chat. Percentage chance that the starting small forward is somebody who's not currently on the roster. I'll start with you, Greg. And if you want to give a name, by all means.
Not currently on the roster. I'll go 10%. I think that player's here.
Okay. And you're going Matisse, correct?
And I'm going to go Matisse, yeah.
Okay. Grown?
what was it? What was the
percentage chance that the starting small forward for the Sixers is somebody who is not currently on roster?
the percent chance that somebody, the starting small forward, is not on this roster?
Correct.
5%.
Okay.
I just think it becomes too much moving and shaking, and I know we love it. I know Rye loves it, but at some point you can't move and shake everything. I know Daryl's a fucking junkie and a freaking analytical nerd, and I don't hate Daryl, but that's just the facts. He loves moving and shaking. You can't move and shake the whole thing. There's good, like, we might want to trade Matisse, but there also has to be the partner involved. And that's what I said on draft night. Like, okay, you can want to trade Tobias, but somebody's got to want to eat it. Somebody's got to want to eat it. It takes two to tango. And you're not going to trade him for lesser players when he comes up on the end of his deal next year. So it's like, it's one of those things. Like, Matisse, you're not paying a lot of money to either. Make sense? So it's like a low risk, high reward. If you get a Tucker and you get an Andre Drummond, like, you don't need to get another small forward too, right? Like, that's where I like sort of like put my draw the line in the sand. Like, could he be moved? Sure. But then we're like moving we're starting to move, like, what else can we move? Like, you can't move everything every year is my point. Like,
can I trade this couch? How about this couch?
Yeah, at some point we have to hold on to certain things and say, okay, if you pan out here, good. If you don't, when your contract's over, you can go somewhere else. And we got to also remember, as much as, like, I don't think he is, but he was second team all NBA. I mean, second team defense, all NBA, second defense. Like, I understand that, like, we've seen it daily and nightly, but we also can't just like put our nose up to it like the guy isn't a really good defender and hasn't turned himself into that. Like, at least, unlike Ben, he'll shoot it. He'll just miss it, right? So it's not like the effort to shoot it isn't there. He just didn't make them this year.
Oh, yeah, no, the effort's there. I will give him that.
I'm not going to say he's going to make them next year, right? Like, I'm in the middle of you guys, of the guys that say he'll never be anything, and the guys that want to act like he's Bruce Bowen, right? Or Ruben Patterson, the Kobe stopper. I watched this guy slow down, arguably the best scorer of this generation. Okay, like I watched him make it really tough, and nobody makes it tough on Steph Curry. Nobody. That was a big game. That was like an ESPN televised game. So that was a big game, and he freaking was all over him. And I gotta give that a little credit. After the freaking vaccine bullshit, right? I thought his defense was atrocious, and that could just be conditioning. That could be you mentally checking out. I don't know, right? But that's when it became like, he's not that good a defender. But then to his peers and to other coaches, he is. They're the ones who watch tape all the time. They're the ones who are watching every play. So, like, that's where you can be in the middle of it. Like, Paul Reed, there's nothing to be in the middle of. He's not good. Like, but Matisse, there's like, come on, he got a big accolade, guys, right? Like, let's at least, I know we're critical guys, certain times, and I'm not, you know me, I'll freaking smoke everybody. But is he good enough offensively? Absolutely not. Absolutely not, right? I agree on that. He got worse, but he got better defensively, though. So we can't act like he didn't work on his game. You can't roll your eyes at that because he got
didn't
better.
though. No, but he didn't. That's the thing.
Was he second team all defense last year?
Well, I only go so far. I mean, Jokic was the MVP. It's analytics. I mean, it's analytics, Tom.
Come on, Ryan. That's a big accolade.
Yeah, I'm happy for him. I hope he has a trophy.
Don't say you're happy for him.
I'm happy for him. That's a great.
Oh, that's a cop out. That is.
I'm happy. I'm very happy.
So second team all defense isn't a legit accolade. I'm asking you guys.
No, it is.
Okay, so let's not put our nose up to it. We can crush him offensively, but let's also say he got better defensively. That's the facts. That's just the facts.
That's enough of an accolade for me to have reason and have an argument and have a conversation with another team that says he is not going to put more than 4 points on the board for you, but he's second team all defense.
Yeah. No, listen,
now give me an actual serviceable piece back. That's where that gets me.
I'll scream from the mountaintops that's an accomplishment because it raises his trade value. So absolutely, it's better. Listen, it's more important than the MVP. I hope Chicago sees that because that. Listen, I want him like.
It's not more important than the MVP. Stop being a jackass. Okay,
you know what I'm saying.
The MVP. Nobody's saying that. No,
I didn't say you said that. I hope Chicago.
No. I know where you're going. All I'm saying to you is we can't say he didn't get that part of his game didn't get better. We don't know how guys work. We don't know. Right, we can assume stuff and go off of numbers and all that, but we have to be fair with it too and say this guy did get better defensively, not only numbers-wise, analytically, but to his peers, to coaches around the league. Like that does matter a little bit. It's offensive game, the Crohn's point and your point, right? I agree with, but you guys can't just dismiss the defense. You can't. A team that played no defense.
I didn't dismiss the defense. The defense is what makes him a tradable asset.
And listen, maybe he is, but for what?
I mean, I can't answer that right now, Tom.
Exactly, that's the problem. For what?
I'll tell you what,
second round picks.
It's going to be
anything.
I'd rather have the guy then.
It's going to be Reggie Bullock in a first. That's what it's going to be. I don't know if I'm not like running to broad over that.
I like Reggie Bullock.
You give me a first to Reggie Bullock, I'd be in.
No, I'm serious. That's what I honestly think that's what it's going to be. It's going to be Furk. It's going to be Matisse. And it's going to be Reggie. And I think if they could get like that
then
pick
I'll
back.
drive him to Dallas. I'll drive him to Dallas. You understand? Like, then I'm in like, hey, I'll drive him. You guys want to get in the car and drive? So like, you see where I stand on this? You got to give me the right deal. You can't give me second round picks, and I'm gonna hang up the phone on you.
Oh yeah,
defensive player.
Then I'm keeping Matisse if I'm only getting seconds. Like then I'll be like, oh, he was a second team all defense. You have to.
Yeah, I'm not giving him away. I'm not giving him away.
One other thing, Ryan, I think it's also fair to allow him one more season. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to say, time's yours.
No. No, I don't
If the
disagree
right
with you.
deal's not there, but I agree with you, Chrome. I agree with you, Ryan. If the right deal is there, I'm right with you guys. I'm just not going to give them away, and I got no problem saying just come back here for one more year. We're going to see. Time you want to make shots? Good.
I mean, listen. Rounding it back to this. I mean, I'm not running the guy out of town, but I'm making it a very strong point to be made for myself that if I can move him and get something that's going to help this team, he is far from untouchable. And the offensive efficiency alone is enough for me to say, you know what, if this team is better, I'm not doing like last year at the trade deadline, everyone said, you can't move Maxie or Matisse. It was a big thing. We can't move Matisse, a guy who averaged 5 points a game last year, who couldn't hit the side of the backboard half the time when he was taking shots, and had his nights on defense where he disappeared. But he was an untouchable piece. My argument is simple as this. If I can move him, if I can upgrade the three, or if I can get a backup center, or if I can get another guy who's a role player, plus get some draft capital back, bye-bye. See you later. Have fun. Second team all defensive player. Doo-doos.
Yeah, like to me, like, you know, all joking aside, like I look at him kind of how we used to look at Boston Scott in a way, where like the fan base made me hate him. You know what I'm saying? It's that, like, and honestly, the only reason why I roll my eyes with like, oh, he's gotten better on defense, it's because like when we talk about like players having a stench to them, it's that in the latter part of the season, before even the Toronto vaccine stuff, he got really lazy with the reach-ins. That's when his foul numbers got way up. He couldn't keep anybody in front of him, and he relied too much on his wingspan that, oh, I don't need to keep somebody in front of me because I'm just going to swipe it. And when he was swiping, that's when he's running into fouls. That was, I mean, listen, not to go too far back, but that's what killed us in the Atlanta Hawks series when he was guarding Trae Young. That's what killed us. As much as Trae Young was, you know, he was leaning into it and he was doing the cheap fouls, Matisse kind of went right into it. So that's why
a lot of those bad plays. Especially on the perimeter. He fouls guys on the three-point line all the time.
So that's why I roll my eyes to where it's like he's gotten better skill-wise on defense, but it's like the mental lapses, it completely overrules that. But I have no issue with bringing him back and giving him every chance in the world because, listen, with him at that contract, him having that capability of having that ceiling on defense, the reason why I roll my eyes with it, it's just because I already did this with one Australian. I already had so little expectations with offense.
But you didn't, though. That expectation is completely different than this expectation. Like, stop it. One guy's supposed to be a generational player. The other guy isn't. So we can't put Matisse Thybulle and Ben Simmons in the same conversation. One was drafted number 1 overall and was compared to LeBron James. The other guy was drafted knowing that he's a good defensive player. That's it. That's where it ends. Those two do not compare in any way, shape, or form. One guy actually shoots the basketball. One guy refuses and quits on teams. They don't even remotely go in the same conversation. Ben Simmons was supposed to be the dude. He was supposed to be the next best player in the NBA for 10 years. That's what we were all sold on. Matisse Thybulle was never supposed to live up to those types of expectations or even have them expectations. He's supposed to be a role player. That's what he was drafted. At 23 or 24, whatever number he was drafted in the first round, 27, he was drafted to be a role player. He was never drafted to be somebody who changes your franchise.
No. I'm not saying that, but wouldn't you?
But you just did. You brought Ben Simmons and Matisse Thybulle. Stop. Don't ever bring them up again. Stop. They don't compare. They don't compare. In your expectations, they will never compare.
My point is, when I talk about offense, don't you agree that we both lowered extremely what we expect from them on offense? Would you not agree with that? That's my point.
What do you mean? Like, no, I never lowered my expectations on what I thought Ben Simmons should do offensively.
We didn't say at the end of last year, just literally play aggressive and make your free throws. That's not what we were asking him to do.
One guy is getting paid max money to do it.
To make your free throws and play aggressive?
No, the one guy who never did it was making max money to do it. So, of course, we're going to say, hey, can you please do this? The other guy,
for a number 1 overall pick, wouldn't you say that is diminishing what we expected from an offense?
I just don't understand the comparison of the two. One guy is supposed to score because of where he was drafted at and what he's supposed to be. The other guy, I can't say, well, you're supposed to do this as my 5th option. He's my 5th option. He's my 5th. The other guy was supposed to be your 1 or 2. That's. I'm not like arguing with you semantics, right? I understand sort of what you're getting at, but like at the end of the day, one guy was supposed to change your fucking franchise. Matisse Thybulle was never drafted to change your franchise. So if he gets better offensively, it's a win. That's all it becomes. It becomes a win for your franchise if he develops a 3-point shot, right? That's where it ends with Matisse Thybulle. He can shoot the 3 a little bit. You're now in better shape. Ben Simmons was supposed to walk us down Broad Street.
No, I hear you on that. My only point was their offensive liabilities completely overwhelmed everything they did on defense. That was my only point. That's the only comparison. Is that everything they gave you on defense, it was almost a moot point because of how of a liability they were on offense. That's the only comparison I got.
That's fair. Other guys' liability never is going to hurt you as much as the guy who's no longer here, right?
Fair,
well, so
yes.
can I make this point then? Okay, so we're talking about second team all defense, right? Second team all defense.
Talking this long about Matisse Thybulle. Go ahead.
No. Off season though, we're talking second team all defense, right? But what is the exact conversation that we had about Ben Simmons and what was the issue, right? As good as he is defensively, as the game goes on, their offensive liability in the important minutes, the crunch time down the game, you have to take him off the floor because it becomes a detriment. So to me, I'm looking at in the most important minutes of the game,
We only did that.
is he an asset on this team or is he a deficiency?
He's like, how's he not an asset when he's your 5th option?
Because you're talking about if he can't be on the floor in the final 5 to 7 minutes of the game because he can't score for you.
Sure he can.
He can shoot free throws and
He's not going to get meaningful moments. He's not going to get meaningful
I mean,
moments.
he's there to play defense.
Thank
If
you, Greg.
he's there at the end of the game, he's there to play defense. He's not there
How-
for his offense.
How often was he there at the end of the game last year?
Hold on. He still spaces the floor because you will at least attempt it. You gotta understand that. Like, teams aren't gonna close out on it, but
We're literally talking about starting him. The whole conversation, the first part of the show was start him and take his minutes down as the game goes on. Now we're saying no. You got to play. You could play him at the end of the game. When we were talking earlier about how as the game goes on, he's more of a liability.
You brought that up. Listen,
He's not a liability. He just can't score
tonight. And
He is, because if you're in a tight game down at the stretch and he can't score, then
can't stop a guy?
if he's having an off night, it depends on the night. Depends on the night.
That's the issue. They didn't even try guarding him in the playoffs. That's the issue.
No, I'm saying he can't stop a guy.
Who?
Maybe he can, maybe he can't. But in a league, it's the NBA. No. You're going to let me finish. Let me finish because this is part of my point. In the NBA, at the end of the day, it is an offensive league, okay? So if I can go out and get a guy that plays adequate defense that isn't a second-team all-defender but can go out there and put the ball in the hoop in important moments in the game more efficiently, there's a ton of guys in the league that could do that, Greg. A ton of guys that could do that.
Make it $3 million.
So if I can go out there and get them and I can move him, actually. There's quite a few guys that were out there making $3, $4, $5 million. Look at guys like Patty Mills and these guys out here who
Patty Mills can't play defense,
but they could score. And guess who plays in championship teams and plays
Patty
those
Mills
important
is
minutes?
a point guard.
you just didn't make any sense.
I'm just saying guys who could go out on the court. You're asking me specifically. So let me finish my point before you cut me off, and then you can say whatever you want. Let me finish my point. You're going to keep cutting me off. Let me finish my point. And then I'm happy to sit here and I won't do one of these.
Guy out there $7 million, he's not getting $3 million. So you're wrong about Patty Mills. He just out there at 6.5. So you think he's comparable to?
I'm throwing names out there of guys who are making anywhere between $3 to $5 or $6 million.
Wait, that's a big difference. He's not going to make 6.5. He's looking for more. Obviously, show me somebody making $3 million that does something.
Well, I'll do my homework again. I'll sit there and I'll come back next show, and I'll make sure I throw you a list of guys out there. There you go. There's one right there. Thank you, Ryan.
Reddish. Cam Reddish stinks. I mean,
Cam Reddish on like his ninth team and
like if I hear Cam Reddish.
No, Greg, I know you know what, Greg. This
go look at Cam Reddish's 3-point percentage last year, right when he went to the Knicks, and get back.
Well, he didn't play for the Knicks. He didn't play.
Give me a guy that's going to go out there and score me 10, 12 points, adequate defense.
Greg,
I'm good.
Greg, real quick. This is the time of the show where I say, Greg, you don't watch basketball. He was on his second team, not ninth. He's only like 23. So he hasn't been on 9 teams. He's been on.
Right,
he's
only.
He
He's
been
on 9 teams.
Well, you don't watch, so it makes sense.
Well, he played 15 games for the Knicks, so at least 2021 he did.
Yeah, that was the only time he was on there, and then Thibodeau didn't play.
Yeah, but you said he didn't play for the Knicks. He did.
Well, I'm not going to take 15 and be like, oh my God.
Well, I'm just saying you said he didn't play there. I'm just telling you he did play minutes. He did get some time there, and then guess where he went? That's the point, because he can't shoot the three either. People are calling him a 3-and-D guy, but the guy can't shoot the three. What are we talking about? He's got two. He's got Ryan. Here are his numbers from three. Right, his rookie year, 33%. Then the next year was 26%.
Oh my God.
35%, 37%. These are all in the same year because he went his totals for 21-22 were 35% there, but then in New York he shot 25%.
Yeah, my point is I'm not gonna even take that as a sample size. You know, the 15.
You're not gonna take his entire career being a 32% 3-point shooter as a sample size?
No, I'm talking about the 15 games. I'm not taking the 15 games as a sample size.
I'm saying that he's not good. He's not good from three either. He hasn't developed from there either. He's actually gotten worse.
No, I understand that, but Matisse Thybulle, he's like averaging like 30. He's averaging like 30%.
It's the same thing, and one guy's a better defender.
No, I understand that.
Cam Reddish is a great defender. Guess where he would have played? Guess what Thibodeau would have did? He would have played him.
Thibodeau doesn't play young players, so I'm not going to.
Thibodeau
plays defenders.
I tell you what hurts me to look at real quick. Patty Mills only made like $1 million more last year than Furkan did. That hurts me to look at.
Fair contract.
And I don't hate Cam Reddish. I think he's like so overrated. Like he was supposed to be a good player, but he's had two opportunities with teams that like you should be able to get minutes for and should be a factor. So there's something that we don't know about Cam Reddish. To Greg's point, is it feels like he's been on a bunch of teams, even though he's been on two, but he hasn't gotten better. So I'm not saying like I wouldn't take Cam Reddish, but I don't know if I take Cam Reddish and his underachieving because he's underachieved over a guy who like actually has some accolades at some point. But and John said 4-on-5 or somebody said 4-on-5 when Matisse is on the court. Like I don't know. Like again, I agree with you, Chrome. I never said he should play the final 5 minutes of a basketball game, right? But it doesn't mean he doesn't serve you a purpose though.
Oh,
fucking Matisse. Oh, you found somebody making $3 million. Whoop-de-do.
Here we go.
Hey, that's a good one. That's my boy. Remember my boy Sadiq Bey?
Oh my God.
Contributes a hell of a lot more than Matisse Thybulle and he actually might be making less money than Matisse.
Crum, do you think
because he's on his rookie deal?
Crum, you think we're
right.
getting
He told me to throw out another small forward that contributes more and makes the same money. Sadiq Bey, there's one right there.
Okay,
let's get how we getting him.
How are we getting him? That's the question.
The Pistons giving him up for Matisse Furkan?
I'm just saying, there's names out there. You asked me to find other people.
DeAndre Hunter.
I can look more.
DeAndre Hunter.
Okay, how are we getting DeAndre Hunter?
Matisse Thybulle, Furkan Korkmaz stuff.
Okay. I mean, I don't think DeAndre Hunter is anything, but that's fine. He's just another role player to me. Like he has his flaws. Trust me, when we watch DeAndre Hunter for 80 games, we're gonna be like, this guy's
we're not clamoring for DeAndre Hunter. We're just the 3-and-D guy that can.
I know, but I'm just giving you guys the devil's advocate of it and making conversation that these guys that we don't watch every night and we just look at their stat sheets or we might see them play 5 or 10 games a year. They have flaws that we're going to then see when we see him every day, like George Niang, right? We're all like, George, like, right? And blah, 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 blah. But then the flaws started to come out. And the minivan looked more like it was broken down, right? So, like, my point is like, no, I'm not a Matisse stain, whoever said that. I'm just playing devil's advocate to it when you take a $3 million contract off your team and you add a $3 million contract per se, you're getting somebody else that has issues that we're not going to like. That's all I'm getting out of it. I'm not saying certain guys aren't better than him or aren't upgrades, but like how much?
No. I think Chrome and I's point wasn't even to what you're saying, Tom. It was more to Greg's. You can't find anybody else that does what Matisse does. It's like, no, there's like 80 guys in the NBA that can do that. That was our point.
That's not true. I never.
It's going to be a whole show now.
Well, no, because you're saying there's 80 guys that are first or second team all defensive players. I can't believe I'm sticking up for Matisse Thybulle, but the way
either.
No, that wasn't the argument. It was guys that can play defense and that can play offense. That was Chrome. Was that not the argument, Chrome?
There's not 80 guys that can play defense supposedly at his level. that's where the argument dies.
No, we weren't.
But
talking
there's
about any
guys who
other.
can play an adequate enough
that was the
defense
point.
that the
That's the
offense
point.
trumps what the fall off would be from second to adequate. Second team.
That was
That's what it is.
literally the point the entire time. Nobody
But
said
all right,
The,
second.
the
let's
distance
go back.
between the offensive efficiency, between the defensive efficiency, is what we're saying. There are guys out there at that number
Yeah, Gary
that you
Payton
can
second.
find.
But let's
Yeah,
go
well-
back. Let's go back to the poll question, right? Although it's not the starter, but I think we all can agree that 5 might be the final 5 on the court at the end of the game, right? So how
Yes, I agree with that.
How many minutes are we really worried about Matisse Thybulle here, though, right? You know what I mean? To where if he starts, what's he playing? The first 8 minutes of the game, and then at the 8-minute mark when Joel comes out, he's coming out with him. You know what I mean? Like, how many minutes is Matisse really playing to where we're really worried about that much that his defense can't make up for it? If we all know at the end of the game that 5 that we talked about potentially being our starting lineup as well, being on the court anyway for the.
I know we're saying.
Quarter. I mean, he's playing 8 minutes in the first, 4 in the middle of the second, 4 in the middle of the third, maybe starts the fourth.
But that's the thing is,
12, 15 minutes.
I think a better question is, what would satisfy us in terms of if he's on this team, that we're going to feel good about him going, like, what step does he need to make next year for us to be like, okay, he's not? Because I can tell you, for me, let me go from 33% 3-point shooting with all the threes he takes. Let me see a leap to like 37, 38. That's a start. Let me see him go from averaging 4 or 5 points a game. Give me 8 or 9 points a game. And then, you know what? I'll be like, that's a huge step forward. And then I do look at where we talked about the second team all defense plays a factor of, okay, it trumps a little bit of the offensive efficiencies. But I don't know what a rotation with him in it would look like as the game goes on if he's not making those steps forward. But I would be really worried, I'll tell you that. I would be really worried why we have an important spot on this team for him then. In year 4.
I actually disagree with you. I'm actually crawling towards Tom and Greg's side on this. Like, so you're saying 37, 38 from 3? Because
probably well, he's so I think he shot 33 last year.
31.
So let me see him.
31.
Was it 31?
31.
One of the years he shot 33. It might have been his rookie year.
He averages 2 threes a game at 31%. To me, if he can average 4 threes a game at 34%, that's all. Like, I'm asking him to go up 3 percentage points and shoot 2 more threes.
But Ryan,
I don't know if I want him taking enough 3-point shots though. That we have to rely on him hitting 4 3-point shots a game to be satisfied.
I think this is what Tom and Greg are saying though. If he's
I understand that.
He's gonna have to do that. That's the only.
I'm saying though, I'd rather see him take less shots but be more efficient doing it.
But what happens if he plays 20 minutes a night? Like, what happens if he plays 25 minutes a night? Like, I think the fact that
that's about what he plays, 25.
Matisse Thybulle isn't going to be the end all be all of us cutting nets down, but he can be a role player that's good enough for us. And I think that he can shoot it better. And the other side of it is, and this isn't an excuse, it's just common sense, is the comfortability again, right? And the constant moving and shaking of people around each other. I think for some young players that aren't confident offensively yet, that can hurt them a little bit, right? Now you're going to come back with a lot of guys you just played with, right? So now do you know more what's expected from you? Do you have the confidence to pull the trigger for 3 or 4 threes a game now, right? To Ryan's point, are you willing to do that and trust yourself to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to keep shooting them. And I believe that your teammates are probably saying, if you're open, shoot it, right? And the fact that he's willing to shoot it, right, is a good enough start for me when you're an elite defender. When I crush you is when you're not willing to shoot it. If I needed Matisse Thybulle to give me 15 a night, then it would be a big issue on you not making your threes. But in a guy that's a role player, and like everybody has a role on teams when you want to win it all, right? And if he's a defensive specialist for you per se, that plays a role. You don't need him to be a star. So we just spent like 45 minutes talking like we need Matisse to be a star. Not saying you guys are. Just in general, like we've overhyped what we need from Matisse Thybulle. That's it. We need to have expectations and say, this is pretty much who this guy is. To Ryan's point, can he give me 34%? Can he, Chrome, if he gives me 37, I might freaking give him a hand job. So at the end of the day, can he go up a little bit and show us growth? Guys are allowed to have down years when that's not their thing. But can you understand what you need to get better at now after a year of struggling with it, and then go out and execute that plan? That's going to be the next step to see if he's willing to do that in year 4, which is considered what in college years, your senior year. Because if you won't develop it in year 4, you're never going to develop it. You guys understand what I'm saying? Where I agree with you guys. This is the make or break if you're going to be able to shoot it well enough in this league. It just is. Just is. You have 2 shooters around you. Sorry, last thing. Like Sammy Cassell's a good shooter. So like you have good shooting coaches here. So now it becomes, are your shoulders lined up when you're shooting them? Are you finishing? It's the little things. Is your hand in the cookie jar? I don't know, but I don't think he like cares more about vlogging than getting better at basketball. That's where like, not that you guys said that, but like I hate when like, oh, this guy just doesn't want to work or he doesn't work at his game, because we don't know that, right? We know one guy didn't, and he's no longer here. But everybody else, like, I'll give you the benefit.
I was going to say, there's a prick that's in Brooklyn right now that went from not wanting to shoot to not even wanting to play.
But wants to get paid, though, Noah.
Maybe the comment of the night from Sweeps. Heel Chrome definitely on the Barry Bonds diet. You look great, Chrome, by the way. You look good.
Thanks, buddy. I'm working out a little bit, trying to get back in the healthy.
But how great are we? I mean, we just argued semantics, essentially, on a role.
You know the best part of it, Tom?
I'm so happy to be back on a show with you guys. First of all, happy to be part of the Wednesday night crew, number 1. Number 2, so happy to be back and arguing about something. I feel like all the arguments I'm involved, especially with you, Dad, and Ryan whether Ryan's on your side or my side of the argument, it's always about like the most minuscule stuff. It's not even the most important
semantic. It's always semantic. It's always semantic.
But I love it.
Well, I think the best part of it is we just had a heated discussion about a guy who I genuinely, trade machine or not, my obsession, I don't think he's going to be here in a week. Like I'm being
right. I hope you're right. I hope you're right. Like I hope they're able to move him and bring in something that makes us better. Right. Like I'm all for that. I just like me and Greg were the only island me and Greg were on was I'm not trading for 2nd round picks. Right. Like,
no, I agree with you. No, I wouldn't do that either.
I don't even like Reggie Bullock that much. But if you got me Reggie Bullock in a 1st and I give you Korkmaz and Matisse, I might have to go do that.
Yeah.
Well, I was talking
crazy hair or not.
Yeah, yes. Like I don't even like Reggie, but I'm like enticed by the 1st because like, okay, Luka. We
ain't got much. We ain't got much else anyway.
Yeah, can Luka pull a hammy? You know what I mean? Like again, Luka missed 45 with a hammy.
Well, I was talking to DJ earlier because like the 2 names that are coming out for Matisse, it was Portland and Dallas. And like this is where like maybe I'll get in some good graces with like the Matisse Thybulle fan club. Like the Portland thing I think is outlandish. Like that's a trade where like you're just trading them to trade them. If it's Portland, if it's straight up, it's literally, and it can only be one thing. It's Nasir Little in a 1st round pick. Like I just crushed Matisse Thybulle's entire existence the last hour. I am keeping Matisse Thybulle. I'm not moving him for friggin' Nasir Little and a pick that we're probably never going to get right anyway.
Well, the whole thing, too, is the whole conversation was he is a tradable asset. So, like, we're arguing about, like, what his value is in this and that. But at the same time, we all agree, we're like, no, you don't give him away. He's an absolute asset to trade.
You know who I blame, honestly? And I love him. And listen, he was a part of the viral clip from the Blake Griffin, madness from Monday. This is KZ's fault. Because all he had to do was compare Matisse Thybulle to PJ Tucker, and then it triggered me. Like, I was so outlandish of a comparison, my eyes went red. I'm like, I have to talk about this. I have to talk to somebody about this. And now we're here 2 hours later.
Just to circle back, because I never got to answer your question. And it has nothing to do with Matisse's value or anything, but I would say 30% chance that the question was what? 30%, or what was the percentage of
that the small forward is somebody
that is on this team? I'm going to say 30% chance that they're not, simply because I do believe if they can't go out and get a guy like a Drummond as a backup center, we roll with Paul Reed. I think 3 is the one position that they could use an upgrade in. So I could see them using that money somewhere. I don't know who it would be, but I could see them using that money, whether it's to plug somebody into the starting lineup, maybe move Matisse, or shore up that 3 spot in a roll off the bench. So
Ralphie,
and give you maybe you have a cycle of guys. Maybe it's by committee. Whatever the best matchup is that night.
Ralphie, what about you? On
Hey,
anything
Ralph,
we
good to
talked
see you,
about the
bud.
last 2 hours because you've been resting.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I kind of liked it. Matisse Thybulle. Well, bringing up blood pressure. It is what it is.
You want him?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, I don't
I'm good.
think you have anything to offer us.
We don't have room. We don't have room. So
Don't worry, we'll
Habib, you shut the fuck up. Like, what is your problem? Like, it
be
ain't
bitching in the comments the entire show.
it ain't train station. You don't need to announce your departure, right? Like,
Deuces, buddy. See ya.
conversation sucks in the off season where we're just creating conversation and having fun. Like, conversation sucks. Like, okay. So, what would you like us to talk about, Habib?
Habib, I've been watching you bitch in the comments for the last hour, so thank you for the watch duration. It's good for the algorithm. Thank you. Ralphie, go ahead, please, before we get in another tirade.
oh no, go right ahead. Go
No,
right
I
ahead.
have a question. It was a question, Ralphie.
There's Ralphie right now.
Yeah, I know what he does. I know what he's doing. What's the chances, in your opinion, that our starting small forward, is somebody who's not on the roster?
10%.
I'm going 65.
You're real confident.
Who's your guy? Is it Tucker or?
No, it's who's my guy?
Yeah.
No, it's Reggie Bullock. It's somebody who's not on roster. 65% chance that somebody.
Well,
my
Tucker's technically not on the
God.
roster either, so I wasn't sure if you were counting that.
No.
I thought you agreed to the poll.
I did, but I wasn't going to go on a trade machine in the first 5 minutes. I wanted to spare you guys.
Gotcha.
I didn't want to.
Well, I have 2 things for the Miami Heat, real quick.
Oh, Ralphie Roche. Okay.
Miami is one of the teams
Ralphie
engaged in a
Shams.
trade talk for John Collins, and they're also interested in Jay Crowder again.
I mean, I'd rather. Can we just
got
get like
DeJounte, right? They just got DeJounte,
who?
the Hawks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Saw that come over.
Can we just get Jay Crowder instead of like PJ Tucker? Can we just do that? Like, I know you'd have to trade for him, but like, can we all agree that Jay Crowder is a better option than Reggie Bullock and PJ Tucker?
At this point, yeah.
I just don't like 3 years for PJ Tucker. If we were talking 2 years, I'd be in, but I don't like the 3 years. But listen, if there's a focus on this year and they're not playing,
Correct. He will be.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, he's gonna
if
be
they're
40.
if they're
Jesus.
throwing out that last year, you know what I mean, and they're just kind of saying it's going to be more about this year and next year. I guess at the end of the day, a lot of these contracts don't really live up to the end of them anyway.
Yeah, come on, Daryl, give me a call. I'm only fucking 39.
Can you hit an open 3, Noah?
Oh, fuck yeah, with the best of them.
If he misses, at least he'll yell at the ball. At least that'll be entertaining.
Oh, top-notch entertainment, Ryan. I'll miss a 3 in the corner. Grab somebody's beer courtside, chug it, and run to the other end.
And you'll still yell bang.
Right.
Friggin' Brick City, but bang! You'll still go. I did make a little list of names, which Chrome you alluded to because I put it in the chat earlier. Thanks to Mr. James Harden, because now this is actually mathematically possible. That we could focus on, if not a starter option, but maybe somebody off the bench. TJ Warren, he could come in and be your starting 3, even though he hasn't played for 2 years. He's a wing option.
Yeah, I'll pass on DJ Warren.
Just because of the health thing, Tom?
The bubble Jordan?
Yeah, I got no
Bubble
time for guys who haven't played in 2 years. This isn't Jamar Chase like sitting a year out where it's like, it could hurt him. It fucking
John Wall?
TJ Warren stinks. I mean, maybe when he's healthy in the bubble he was good, but he stinks.
Bruce Brown, former teammate with
Well, if you want no offensive game, there's your answer.
Yeah, I'm afraid that it's
Great
going to be
defense.
Bruce Brown because his fit with James Harden, but I don't want Bruce Brown.
What is
I'd
Bruce?
rather take Bruce Bowen over Bruce Brown
At
Even
this age.
at this age.
He's not better than Bruce Brown.
I might agree with that. I might go there.
I would agree with that.
Otto Porter.
Oh my God, we just
Good
turned them.
player.
Tom, we turned them. We turned them both.
No, Greg. We just don't like Bruce Brown.
No, I know.
I think he stays with Golden State though.
Bruce Brown's not better than Matisse Thybulle, Sam, at this point of their careers. Like, the one guy is way more upside, in my opinion, and not like way more like he's going to be anything good. But like, Bruce Brown is who Bruce Brown is. Like, Matisse Thybulle can maybe still get better. Mike Collins, I agree with you on Otto Porter. I mean, he looks like freaking Wilt Chamberlain's kid. So, I mean, there's got to be some pedigree there. He probably is his kid. And he's long. He's a good defender. He shoots it, I think semi well. But then it's also hard to judge guys who play with arguably the two greatest shooters together, because we don't understand how much that opens the floor up for guys like that. So it's hard to like say, okay, I can pluck a guy from a championship team and he's going to give me the same impact that he gave Golden State when he's playing with freaking Curry, Wiggins, and Clay. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's hard for me to say like, oh, that guy, like, because the other place he was at before that was Washington, right?
Yeah.
And he really
got to bounce around. He's with Chicago for a little bit. He was with Washington.
So I have it.
Chicago or Washington?
So I actually have it, Tom. It's so Chicago. He was there in Orlando for 5 seconds, but he didn't play. He was there in Chicago. And the good thing is, and this is why I think Otto Porter is a solid.
He did play. He played 3 games with Orlando.
Oh, there you go. He was there for a cup of coffee. Good for him. He actually shot better from 3 in Chicago than he did in Golden State. He is a career just under 40% from 3 shooter, 39.8% from 3. And let me see how many he averaged. Yeah, because he averaged way less from 3 in Golden State than he did in a majority of his career, especially with Chicago. And he was really good in the catch and shoot, which again is something that's really important when you have James Harden and Embiid.
Yeah, I like Otto Porter. I mean, that's an upgrade to me, obviously, over a guy like Matisse, if that's who we're like talking about, or just adding him in general. Yeah, I do think Otto Porter is.
He's not expensive. He's not expensive either. He made under $3 million last year.
Yeah, but he's make a little bit more because.
But I'm saying, even if he makes a little bit more, I don't think he's going to make drastically more. He might fall into that biannual exception range of that just over $4 million range. It's an up. He can sign a 2-year deal with the biannual. You can sign a 2-year deal. You can't sign any more. I could see him taking that.
Yeah, the good thing is now that Harden opted out, you have 3 different clauses to get players, not including sign-in trades. It's the non-taxpayer mid-level exception, which is it's PJ Tucker, so that's gone. Then it's the biannual, which in this case, to your point, Chrome, it would be Otto Porter if we went that direction, and then the vet minimum, which could go to Andre Drummond. That's what we used last year. You know, if we're looking for a backup center, which I know earlier in the show we all said, like, yeah, you know, B-ball, Paul out the mud, Bassey season, all that, but we don't really want a experiment there. So that's like your 3. So you can come in just based off of the NBA salary with a Drummond, a Porter, a Tucker, and that doesn't even include what you can get, you know, if you dealt Matisse, for example.
I just don't know what the cap space is going to look like. Again, I mean, we know they have the mid-level. We know they have the biannual. I don't know what extra money there's going to be in the middle there.
What, from in accordance to the elevation that came out, Crum? Is that what you're talking about? The overall cap?
Yeah. So we know they're going to have the 10, which 10 plus that can be used, whether it's for multiple players or one player. We know that's going to be Tucker.
It was
pretty much guarantee that.
The overall cap, it went up 11.6 from last year.
Right, but I don't know, even with that, how much space they're going to have to add a third player. So I'm still, because a lot of these projections didn't really indicate they're going to have a whole lot of room to add a third player. It was more so by him signing. So if he would re-sign for more than $38 million, he would not have had that biannual exception.
Correct.
So I don't know if that creates that additional $10 million in space or how that all worked. Kind of, I don't know. The finances is real weird with the, you know, it's like looking the NBA or the NFL and you look at franchise tags and you look at all this dead cap stuff. They make it so confusing, but I don't know until he signs his official deal and they report how much cap space they're going to have on top of those two exceptions.
Well, it's this, Chrome. So say, for example, he
But
takes
if it could, I'm with you, though. I love that trio right there. Give me Porter, give me Drummond, give me Tucker, and we're running that. We're making a run for it next year for sure.
Makes you tougher, right? Gets that toughness in here that you needed.
Yeah.
So say, for example, Harden took 35 because it's been reported, numerous times that he's going to take mid-30s. So okay, we'll just go to 35. Mm-hmm. That creates $12 million just in a cap space because we're saving $12 million from the original projection. You would have had to activate that non-taxpayer mid-level exception. You would have had to clear 8.4. So 12 minus 8 is 4. So then you add the 10 that you're getting with PJ Tucker. So you're going to have, after all this is said and done, around $4 or $5 million to do what you want. A little bit of a wiggle room. So that is a Drummond. That is a, fill in the blank vet minimum that you can use. So that's why it is a big difference between him taking 39 and 35. Because that's a player.
Agreed. Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, boys. I got to run. You guys enjoy the rest of it. Great arguing with you. We'll do it again next Wednesday.
Happy 4th, Tommy.
Right back at you, Noah.
See you, brother.
Later, boys.
Happy 4th, brother.
So I want to ask you guys.
Crazy baseball endings.
I've got the Golf Channel on, so I missed it. Ralphie, some of the people, a lot of the people in the chat have been asking your thoughts. We'll go more. We'll still talk Sixers, obviously, but we'll spin more national because there's a lot of other stuff that's happened on the eve of NBA free agency. Ralphie, what's going on with your Lakers, buddy?
What, 26 minutes? Or does it start at 4 o'clock?
It starts at 6 p.m. tomorrow.
6. Starts at 6.
Oh, even worse.
I don't know what we're doing. To be honest, it's a smack in the face to run it back with Russell Westbrook. It's a smack in the face to fans because we sat through that fucking bullshit last year.
Alcantara got the CG. Let's go.
It's a smack in the face to LeBron James. It's a smack in the face to Anthony Davis. To run it back with him after what happened last year is just a big smack in the face, to be completely honest. I understand that, the whole Kyrie thing. Listen, I bought the $6 million for like 2 seconds, and then I realized, you know what, $30 million. There's no shot a normal person or an insane person leaves up $30 million, right? There's no way you're doing that. That's just bad business. So he opts in, and maybe the Nets start 0-17, and they just get off to a rocky start, and Kyrie does his little thing over there, and we get him halfway through the season. But yeah, the Lakers, we did get O'Neal and Pippen. That's nice. That's wonderful.
Yeah, there you go. Let's see what happens when you guys draft.
That's wonderful.
But it's just that there's just so much. There's nothing that we can really do just because of the Russell Westbrook contract at $47 million, and I mean we have the mid-level exception with the $6 million. I don't know who we're going to use that on. It was Malik Monk wants to come back for lesser money. Then he's saying that he's looking for other deals. It's a mess right now. It's a big mess.
You guys sold your soul to the devil
for the bubble
for a bubble championship,
a ballroom bubble title.
But I'll take it. I take it. It is what it is. It's a ring at the end of the day. But it's just like I said. It's a smack in the face. Smack in the face to those three guys.
I have a 3-parter for you. Okay, we'll just go one by one. Okay, because I know it's a tough time for you. On a scale,
I'm going to say happy 4th, boys.
Later, Noah. Later, Noah.
See you, Noah.
Later, guys. Have a good holiday. All right,
You too,
Chrome.
brother.
Good seeing
brother.
you again.
You too, buddy. I'll be seeing you more.
Yep, you got it, man.
I'm glad he's awake now.
A couple times I saw the phone going down.
Yeah.
Welcome to Wednesdays.
Yeah, welcome.
I saw you in your middle at one point. You saw the phone go down. You got thrown off. You got caught midpoint. You're like, oh crap! What do I do? What do I do? No, it's down. No, it's down.
Do I say something? Do I check
keep
on
going?
him?
Do I keep
Do I
going?
call somebody?
Man down.
Ralphie, on a scale from 1 to I'm going to jail, how upset were you to see James Harden take less to win right after Russell Westbrook did the exact opposite?
It was expected though. You know what I mean?
On a scale from 1 to I'm going to jail.
I'm going to jail. I'm going to jail. Right. But but you saw that coming, right? Because you heard that as soon as he got traded, that was some of the rumors where he was going to opt out and then take less money, or everybody was getting all up in arms 2 weeks after you guys got him, that and he was had that little bad stint for a week, and everybody's like, oh, I don't know if I want to pay this guy the max. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So in reality, you kind of saw that coming, but man, I mean, $47 million to Russell Westbrook is that just blows my mind. Blows my mind.
We get a question real quick, and I'll get back to your second part. But he says, how much salary do we actually have exactly? I don't understand the exceptions that well. I'm
trying to look it up, but I don't think this is updated because they have that the Pistons are at right now projected at 31 million. So I don't know if it kicks. I don't know if it's 6 p.m. everything opens up and it becomes that 43 mil. You know what I mean?
Makes sense.
So right now, they have the Sixers listed at 5 with projected cap space at 19 million, which doesn't seem right to me.
That doesn't seem right to me either.
Yeah. So this might be a little off.
Well, with the NBA, they're always late to things. Perfect example is how they handle draft night, where the draft picks can't be official, and they don't count it as being official until a week later. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's the right. So what it is basically, to answer that question, you have around 10.5 million, but that's going to PJ Tucker. So really you don't have that. We can all just assume, unless something really stupid happens in the next 24 hours, PJ Tucker is a 76er by all reports. Then you have the biannual section, which is around 6, correct, Chrome? Or 6.4.
No, the mid-level.
No, the bi-level.
Yeah.
The bi-level is the biannual is 4.05.
Oh, okay. And then
exactly. Yep.
So you would have that, which could be like we talked about a Porter, a Warren, even though I think he's making way more.
Hopefully a Drummond, maybe, if he doesn't get priced out of that.
Correct. And then you have the optionality, especially if you really start moving and shaking some things, the vet minimum, which would be the usual 1.8. So those are your 3 that you're eligible for, and you're also eligible for a little bit of wiggle room with sign-in trades. Now that, and again, this is all dependent on what Harden does. We know he's taking less. We know he's taking mid-30s, but if he takes 39, then that wiggle room for the vet minimum goes away. If he takes 34, then you have the vet minimum plus some. So it's really, when we were joking about the decimal points, it's really, we still have to wait until we know exactly what Harden's making this year. Is this true? Miles Bridges was arrested tonight, reported by TMZ. Bad luck day before free agency.
Oh my God.
I'm not sure.
That's
Ralphie,
horrible
can you
look
check?
if true.
I mean, that is disaster.
I didn't get a Woj bomb.
No, I didn't either.
Hills, don't be lying to us, Hills. Come on now, Hills. I don't know if you are.
It looks like it could be domestic violence.
These guys, man.
Oh yeah, it just came in. NBA stars Miles Bridges was arrested for felony domestic violence in Los Angeles on Wednesday. TMZ.
Just gonna give the typical Ryan Brodo eye roll and move on.
Yep.
These guys can't get out of their own way. All right, I'm gonna give you a name, right? And you tell me where they're going. Some of them have been reported. Some of them we got to get creative, okay? I'm going right down the list of free agents. And chat, play along as well. And maybe it might not be as easy as some think, because some of these names I've heard are going to be Philadelphia 76ers, and I don't know how. John Wall.
Clippers.
He's going to the Clippers already.
Yeah, Clippers.
Sixers.
Oh my God.
You would like that. I'll take him as a backup point guard, but that's not happening. By the way, we all are recognizing how good the Clippers are going to be if healthy. Like we all recognize that, right?
Yeah, I might put some money. I can't believe I'm saying this. I actually might put some money down on them though to win the NBA Finals. That team
Is so deep.
is so loaded with depth. It's insane, crazy how
Just
how
got to
deep
stay
they are.
healthy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like if you actually go down their top 15 men on the roster and you play a little game in your head of like, hey, 2 of these guys have to be healthy scratches, it's really like it's really crazy if you think about it. Like the fact that Luke Kennard on some nights could be a healthy scratch, like,
Yeah,
I can't. I can't begin to describe that. But yeah, Clippers all around. I think we can all agree with that. Here it goes back to the one from earlier. I think it's pretty simple, but a lot of the NBA world doesn't think so. Bradley Beal.
goes back to Washington,
It's always been Washington.
and then he'll win. He'll win 25 games, and then he'll complain that they're not building a team around them, and then you know how it goes. We all know how it goes. He'll go back there, and he'll win 30 games, and that's it. And they'll be
Anybody disagree?
Washington of Washington.
Anybody disagree with that, Greg?
No. I would like to see him go somewhere else, just to see what he can do outside of that bubble. You know what I mean?
I do think
I
Washington's going to make another move, though.
I do.
would like to see him go somewhere. I don't have an idea of where.
I do think they're going to make another move, Greg. I know they're trying to move Kuzma. I don't know. Like, I like Kuzma.
I know it couldn't work, right? But he's the type of guy, and I'm just throwing the type of player, right? Not necessarily Bradley Beal, but he's that type of guy that, like, Troy's reading my mind, that you sit there and you team up with Luka, right? I'm not saying Beal because I don't know if it actually works money-wise, right? But he's that type of guy, that type of scorer that I think you put next to Luka, and I think they build that dynamic, right? Jalen Brunson was good, but Jalen Brunson isn't a scorer of Bradley Beal's ilk, right? Jalen Brunson is good in his own right, but he's not that, that sniper type of killer scorer that Bradley is. You know what I mean? And so, I would love to see him or even somebody, just because, you hate to waste the talents of, like, Luka Doncic, right? So he's one of those guys that I would like to see in a situation like that, but I know it's probably not going to be able to work.
Savvik, that actually, I didn't think of that. That actually could make some sense. Ralphie, you agree with this?
D'Lo?
He says D'Lo to the Wizards. D'Lo's as good as gone by all reports.
In Minnesota?
I wonder what that package would look like. It would have to be like Kuz and
It's Kuz plus. Maybe and Hachimura.
because they just got rid of KCP and he was making like 14 million. So that chunk of money is gone.
Pull up the machine after we give our next name. DeAndre Ayton.
Brooklyn.
So you saw that freaking trade package, right?
Yes, I did.
All right, before I get into that trade package, Chrome, Greg, where do you think he's going?
Lakers.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ! I would love it, but Jesus.
I just wanted to get Ralphie's reaction.
You almost got my reaction, and it wasn't.
I've seen Phoenix's name float around him a little bit.
Because he's on Phoenix.
Like I'm saying, like staying in Phoenix though.
Oh,
Like not
okay.
going anywhere.
I'm like Crow.
Chrome's a much better guy than I am because my response, Chrome, to him would have been, "Good, Greg, very good, very good. Yes, he is on Phoenix. Good."
Yeah, no, I haven't really seen any other teams floating around. A lot of people think he's going to end up staying there.
I'd like to see him on the Pistons.
I said on what I said last week. I think
last week or 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago. I like what the Pistons are doing. Keith Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, even the big kid they got from Memphis, right? But you put Ayton on there, they're a playoff team.
I think honestly the Pistons. I think that's a place where an interesting name coming off of his
$43 million.
They freed up money for
Tomorrow.
something, and it was him.
I think a
was
very
Nerlens
interesting
Noel.
name.
Yeah, Nerlens.
Look out for them, and I'll be curious to see what he can do bouncing back last year. Victor Oladipo, I think, could land in Detroit, and that would be an interesting spot for him because if he can reform if they could sign him cheap and he can reform his All-Star
He started
level.
to look like it towards the end of at
He's-
least the end of our series, right?
And his playoff run was pretty solid.
Yeah,
He started to look healthy again. So
he started to. Yeah, that's a good name.
I think he's a guy who he's probably going to sign a 1-year deal, probably in the range of give or take 7, 8, 9 million, something cheap 1 year. And I think that this will be a year that he could really bounce back. And if he does, multi-year deals will be waiting for him after this year. But I think Detroit's a real good name. He's not supposed to be back in Miami. So,
real quick, so the D'Lo Wizards thing, it's not as simple as possible. I forgot D'Lo makes crazy amount of money.
Yeah, I think he makes up
money.
31, 30. Yeah,
31.3. And Kuzma makes a little bit less than I thought he did. So for it to work, it would have to be Rui Hachimura, Kyle Kuzma, and it would probably have to be Avdia because he's the only other guy that's making any money, unless it's a sign-and trade with Thomas Bryant. But he's an unrestricted, so that wouldn't even work. Nobody else on that team is making any money, except for Porzingis. But Porzingis can't play with Towns. That is.
Have you ever seen a guy with like his skill level, and he's a good player, get moved around so much? There's just nobody wants to keep this guy on their roster, and I don't get it.
Who, D'Lo?
Yeah.
Well,
I think it's a lot of personality.
Well, he's a snitch.
I guess it could be.
He's a snitch, and B, he misses about 35 games a year. That's
good though. I mean, I see so many guys though that miss so many games a year. It surprises me that he's been moved around so much. And I understand the personality thing, but you have to think somewhere he would have landed where they're like, fine, just be yourself in the corner. When we get on the court, though,
just be yourself. Just sit there in the corner, be yourself.
Yeah, his perfect role would be a sixth man on a championship team, like a Clarkson, like a hero.
Sure.
Like just come on in, score, and that's it. Because you can't play defense, you can't really pass, and you can't really keep secrets. So just leave it alone. Well, you can't keep secrets. You can't really. You just can't. That's a fact. Allegedly, I guess, even though it's not alleged. Yeah, so the D'Lo to the Washington Wizards thing would have to be a 3-team, but on the surface, it would be fun for Bradley. So real quick on the Ayton thing, came out today. I don't know where the trade rumor came from, Ralphie. I don't know if this was like a mock trade made by me. I don't know if this was like a rumor, but it was DeAndre Ayton going to the Brooklyn Nets in a sign-and trade with the Suns getting back Joe Harris, Nicholas Claxton, and Cam Thomas.
What?
Now, listen, I like Nicholas Claxton as a backup. Cam Thomas, I wanted in the draft. Joe Harris hasn't been healthy in 2 years.
And he's coming off an injury.
Yeah. I get it. It's like, hey, sign and trade. The Suns can only do what they can. Why are the Suns doing that?
Because of Chris Paul.
Sense.
Because of Chris Paul. What do you mean because of Chris Paul?
Chris Paul's contract killed everything.
But
Chris Paul contract literally killed that whole team.
No, you're not wrong
literally
there.
Killed it. That's the reason why they're not. But they're not. That's the reason why they're not re-signing Ayton. That's why they're just letting him go because of the Chris Paul contract.
Oh, I agree with that. But my point is, why should we believe that's the best
if
the
Phoenix
Suns
does
can
that,
do?
then they just look terrible. Then they're the Phoenix Suns from 10 years ago that just say yes to everything. I think
they're not getting any starters. They're getting 3 bench guys. They're getting Cam Thomas, who, again, I really like, but he's not getting time on that team. He's not playing there. Nick Claxton's a backup, if that. He can't start for you can't go from DeAndre Ayton to Nick Claxton. You can't do that. And Joe Harris, he's okay. He's a good shooter. He shot him out of the playoffs 2 years ago when he was actually healthy. Like, if I'm Atlanta, right, and I'm moving and shaking, I'm looking at that trade package and I say, okay, I will take that. I will give you Capella and Herter. We all agree that's way better than the Brooklyn package, correct? Like, what would you rather have? Nick Claxton, Cam? Yeah, it's not even, and I think the money would work too, Ralphie, because doesn't Capella make money?
Like, I wonder if they throw John Collins in there too. It just seems like he's been on the block for about 5 months now.
John Collins for Ayton. Listen, that could just be 1 for 1 if you think about it.
Yeah, and Atlanta just throws him a pick, like a protected pick.
Yeah, I mean, John Collins is making 25. You got Capella, who's making 18 for over 3 years. Herter's making 14 over 4 years. Yeah, I mean, I just think there's a ton of teams that could, easily do that. Don says, Ryan, the Suns came out and said there's plenty of centers who can do the same thing Ayton can do. Yeah, his name's not Nick Claxton. Like Miles Turner, okay, Celtics says Pacers. Miles Turner going the other way makes sense. Let me give you another free agency name, though, really quick. We all agree Zach LaVine staying in Chicago, right?
Yeah, I think he stays. Yep.
Yeah.
God, I wish he would come here just for a trigger.
Oh my God! Can you imagine the shows? The Wednesday night show would be a lot of fun then.
I love him.
Maybe
I love
five-
it.
maybe
I've
five
twisted
hours
I've
long.
twisted the knife a few times on
No,
that.
I know. No, yeah, he's staying.
Is there any other names I'm missing, Ralphie?
Jalen Brunson is a big one.
He's going to end up in New York.
He's got 3 interviews tomorrow.
You know what's
He's got the Knicks. He's got
it
the
would be
Mavericks. He's
so
got the
funny
Heat.
if he went somewhere else. And you know what I was
You know
thinking
how
about?
I want it to happen because the Knicks did so much.
No, absolutely.
Just
Like how
to
many
free up
trades
cap
with the
space for this
Pistons
guy.
just alone the last week did they make?
Yeah.
I felt like they made 7 trades with the Pistons, and you could have just made one humongous deal. Like,
Greg,
Yeah.
it took us 6 hours to figure out what the Knicks did on draft
yeah.
night.
But you know what's so sad, right?
Literally,
You look at the
literally.
Knicks. You look at the Knicks, and it's a shame James Dolan is just absolutely ruining that franchise. Because you go back to the conversation we had earlier, way earlier, like, when Tom was going in on Kevin Durant, right? And how Tom, thinks about Bradley Beal and Dame Lillard, right? Imagine being the guy that has the balls to go to New York and revive basketball in New York.
For real.
Like, imagine the legacy that you could build. And you don't even necessarily have to win, like a chip. Like, obviously, you would a chip, you're a god there, right? But even if you just get them back to the playoffs, back to just contending on a yearly basis, if you're that catalyst that, in the mecca, right, of basketball in the United States, I mean, like, imagine the legacy that you could build. I mean, I think of the same thing here in Philadelphia, too. Like, if Joel's ever able to truly get us over that hump, the legacy that he brings or that he gets for bringing a championship team back to such a basketball city and a basketball-rich city of Philadelphia, like, I mean, that's Hall of Fame be gone, right? I mean, that's enough. And that's what, like, I always thought, like, if KD would have went to New York or Kyrie would have went to the Knicks instead of the Nets and they rebuilt that, of course, it would suck for us because they're obviously in our division, right? And we play them all the time. But just to have basketball good in New York again, that's a legacy you can't write.
And let's not get it twisted, too. As much as, we can't stay in the Knicks, either if you're a Sixers or a Lakers fan. I mean, basketball in New York, when the Knicks are good, the league's good. You know what I mean? It is.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I will.
And there's no better building.
No, well, when they were in that playoff series against the Hawks, right? When I tell you the volume, it caught me off guard. Just the volume of that arena. There's loud stadiums like, listen, the old Oracle Arena. I think the TD Garden. They can get loud. I think the Sixers and that our crowd can give a lot of organizations a run for their money, but you can hear the violence in that crowd. Just the venom. Not because they were yelling F Trae Young, but literally every time Julius Randle, in the middle of him bricking wide open 3-pointers, every time he made a shot, the eruption in the arena, you could feel it through the screen. So as much as I can't stand the Knicks and I can't stand anything about that city or that fan base or their fans, it was cool. It was cool. It was very cool to see them get bounced in the first round, but it was also cool to see that fan base back in a playoff environment.
Yeah.
Well, I think too, and Ryan, you've heard me say this a million times on Birds of a Feather. No matter what sport it is, when you look at teams, and especially like original teams when the league starts, when you look at teams like the Boston Celtics, the Lakers, the Knicks, Oh, and you go to hockey, look at the Montreal Canadiens and teams like that. When those teams are good, it's so much better. Like Ralphie, to what you said, it's better for the league. It's more. The league is more exciting. It just seems like there's a different energy, right? So we've seen it, right? I mean, look at in Philadelphia, right? Like, Phillies Mets, right? Like when one of the teams stinks, it's just not the same. But when that rivalry
The
is alive
rivalry
and thriving
disappears a little bit. Yeah.
in those major cities and it's alive and thriving, there's nothing better than that. And it's a big thing, when you look at like the Yankees and the Red Sox. Yeah, it's always a rivalry, but when one of them stinks, which is usually the Red Sox, because the Yankees are always competitive, it's just not the same. It doesn't have the same vibe, even though ESPN tries to throw it in your face like it's the same. But as weird as I never want to see the Knicks win again. But when the Knicks are good, look at the hockey this year. The Rangers were good. It was a more exciting division to watch. No, the Rangers were actually good. I don't want to see them win anything, except for when they play Pittsburgh. But it's better for the league. It's more exciting as a fan to watch. And I know I missed watch. I mean, I used to go to Sixers-Knicks games all the time. And when the Sixers were good and the Knicks were good and those fans would come down here, or we would go up there and go to Madison Square Garden, there's very few energies that you feel when it comes to like a Philly-New York rivalry, and both teams are in the thick of everything.
Oh, absolutely.
So I just want to put this on the screen because I know a handful of people were asking about free agents. Before we get to what's on the screen here, Don, he says, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on DeJounte Murray to the Hawks. So
Great trade.
Good deal for the Hawks.
Yep.
And I saw there were
I think it's a good deal for the Spurs too. Sorry, Ryan.
Like, you're fine.
I think the Spurs did exactly what they were looking to do, right? Recoup some assets for a guy that, obviously either didn't want to be there or wasn't going to be there long term. So you get a couple first-round picks, to go along with a serviceable pro. And I think it works for both sides. I think it's going to be interesting to see what the Hawks turn out to be. Right? Like, what do they do, with John Collins, right? Clint Capella. What does their full then roster or at least starting five then look like? But I think it works for both teams. And I, like you said, I just didn't want to discredit what the Spurs got back just in terms of recouping some assets.
And to your point too, Greg, when you look at the Spurs, that's a class organization. I don't know how long Pop's going to do it, but it seems like it's time for them to kind of hit somewhat of a reset button. But that's an organization, especially if Pop is still sticking around long term with them, or as long as for a while, that they'll turn something out of those first round picks. They'll build that organization back up. But if you have a guy that doesn't want to be there, is not part of your future, and he's kind of the face of your franchise at that point, time to move on. And that's an organization that I think knows how to do that.
Yeah. A couple people were asking earlier, like, why on earth would the Spurs do that? Well, they're tanking. That's what they're going to do. They're reforming it. They've looked at the last couple years, really ever since the old regime left and Kawhi left and everything. It was kind of like the last piece of it. They've had, one or two young stars, but if you look at their salary, they really weren't paying anybody. Like, they were just kind of coasting. And
their decline started when they gave LaMarcus Aldridge that extremely expensive contract, and the table fell out from under him real quick.
And then they tried to replace Kawhi with DeMar.
Yeah. Right.
And that just didn't work there. They just and I also think part of it is I think DeJounte is a really good guy, but I don't think he didn't take that step into superstardom, right? That they probably hoped, and like they've gotten in the past, right? They've gotten those guys like Kawhi, for example, who have flourished into superstardom under Pop, and then they're like, all right, cool, we obviously found something out of nowhere, and not that DeJounte is a bad player, but hey, at this point, he's not going to sign with us long term, so. All right, let's go. Let's get rid of him while we can.
It's funny because this past year was the first glimpse of that, like DeJounte coming into his own. Like, obviously he was an all-star, even though it was kind of he was an all-star after a couple guys opted out or injuries, but still an all-star. But I guess the reason why everyone was saying, "Oh, why are the Spurs doing this?" is because this coming into this year was that year where you look at DeJounte Murray that, okay, are you going to build off of your all-star-ish caliber year last year and become a perennial all-star face of the franchise? Or are you going to resort back to, okay, a nice player to have, but not somebody like, OKC's doing with SGA where, listen, you're not going anywhere. We know we're not going to try and win for 5 years, but you're too damn good. And we know you're too damn good for our own good, hey, you're actually hurting our chances of losing, but we're not getting rid of you for anything.
Right.
So, like, he's not as good as SGA, but he's too good just to kind of hang around and not get for top value. Because that's the other thing, too. If DeJounte kind of, had a step back kind of year and just became, a nice third piece on a team, you're not getting this kind of haul for him. And the funny thing was, I actually felt like they could have gotten more for him. That's the funny thing. Like Danilo Gallinari, who by all reports, they might not even keep. Like he just might get, and I know the Celtics are looking at him, which I don't know why the Celtics need him. Like he's just another Al Horford. He's a younger Al Horford.
Yeah, but I mean, you're gonna have minutes to fill, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just look at him though. That's going to, unless he's like really taking a pay cut, which I don't really know why he would. Like if I'm the Boston Celtics, not that I care. I hate the Boston Celtics, but I would look at guard play for them. Like if I'm looking at, hey, I got to target players. Like the two names they've been targeted and linked to, it's John Collins and Danilo Gallinari. And then Bojan Bogdanovic. That's all the same kind of player.
Yeah.
Like, why are you not linked to guards? You need point guards. Like, you should be linked to Tyus Jones, Dennis Schroeder again. Patty Mills would honestly, if I were to bet on this, Patty Mills on the Celtics makes a ton of sense to me. Like, that's what the Celtics should be doing because they don't have a ball handler. Marcus Smart's not a ball handler. And as you saw, Jason Tatum can't be because he was the first player in NBA history he was like the quickest to get to 100 turnovers.
Yeah. I didn't realize Gary Harris made that much money. I was like looking on this thing. I'm like, there's a couple of names on there I wouldn't mind. Yeah, not $21 million. Sorry, Gary.
Well, and here's the funny thing with Gary Harris, because we were asked about this on Monday, and I didn't get to it. Gary Harris makes no sense on the Sixers right now because we just got him. His name's DeAnthony Melton. He's younger.
Yeah, that's true.
And he's actually a better, cheaper, younger version of Gary Harris. Gary Harris, I think, is what, 29?
Yeah, he's a little older.
Yeah, right.
It's actually right in front of my face.
27.8.
So yeah, I don't know why I'm guessing it's right in front of me. So he's literally a cheaper, arguably better long-term version of Gary Harris. Who's cheaper? Any of these names interest you guys or think are options for the Sixers that are on the screen? Obviously, not the top ones, but like Ricky Rubio, I know has been rumored.
There's only one name on there, and it's all depending on how obviously he comes back from injury. Is Joe Ingles.
Oh, Joe Ingles.
Joe Ingles, yeah.
The problem
he's the only guy that I would even. I mean, don't let me take that back. There's a lot of guys on here. Obviously, I would take, but obviously the only one that
realistic
makes sense for our team.
Yeah, I love Joe Ingles. The problem is,
he's coming off an ACL, right?
Well, yes, and
he's 35.
Yes, and
he's Australian too.
Yes. I'm still waiting for you to get to the big one, though. You're on the right track. You're following the breadcrumbs. Keep going. Think about it. Anybody want to guess where I'm going? Problem with signing Joe Ingles here? And it has nothing to do with money?
What's that?
Just what, fit?
We have two of them. George Niang, PJ Tucker.
Oh, true.
Yeah,
we have him.
Yeah, but I guess he played. He's better than George Niang, though.
Oh,
he's definitely better than George Niang.
I would argue he's better than PJ Tucker when healthy.
Yeah, but he brings a different skill set than PJ, right?
Fair.
I compare Niang because to your point, they're very considerable. They're very close skill sets.
Mm-hmm.
But like if we sign Joe, he slots right there into 3.
Yeah, my only concern is we were already not athletic.
It's true. Yes.
The spacing / speed of having PJ Tucker, Joe Ingles on the floor, or
Well, you
Joe
can't
Ingles.
can't go wrong with another ball handler on the floor.
Yeah, I just I don't know.
No,
Like, if we didn't have George Niang, I would take Joe Ingles in 5 seconds.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Just a name on the list, right? Obviously, we're not gonna. I don't think we're gonna obviously sign him for that much, or even if he's expecting that much. It's just a name off of that side of the list that was like, yeah, okay.
Going where you guys say something?
Jesus.
I mean, financially, I don't think it would work out, but I don't mind Nurkic either. I think if you don't end up getting somebody if you don't end up getting a Drummond and he's out there, that's another name. I'm looking for a big man. I need a big man behind Joel. And if it proved it again in the playoffs this year, we need to have a formidable big man behind him because the wheels fell off real big once he was out. It was done. I mean, that's essentially when everything was over.
Chrome, step into my office. You say center, I have centers. Here you go. Nurkic. So, like you said, I think we all agree he's staying in Portland. Unless they can get like a Gobert, unless they can improve an Ayton, for example.
And I don't see that happening. I don't think they're going to focus on the center position.
Bring me back the process guy. Bring him back. Bring back my guy.
Well, there's a couple in here. There's a couple in here that could fit.
You want JaVale?
Bring me back my guy.
You want JaVale?
Yeah.
JaVale McGee.
Let's go.
What, he play 8 games for us?
Dude, that'd be the greatest 12 minutes of our lives.
I'll tell you what, he slimmed
12
down.
minutes that he's in the game.
He's almost like a stretch 4 now. He's slimmed up.
He wants a multi-year deal, is what he's saying.
Of course, he's JaVale McGee.
He did really improve himself. I loved when he was on the 6. When it was process time and he was here. I loved every second of it. Him and his little rat tail. Oh, I loved it. I loved every second of it.
A pick and roll with James Harden and JaVale McGee. Because that's pretty much all JaVale McGee can do on offense. Anybody with the old Joel killer and that Serge Ibaka? I think he's done, personally.
Yeah, not at this point.
He went to, you know what's crazy? We all thought, justifiably so, when he went to Milwaukee, everybody in the Eastern Conference thought, oh my God, that's trouble. He never played for Milwaukee. Like, he was a healthy scratch on Milwaukee in the playoffs.
Yeah, DMP coach's decision, yeah.
Like, what a disaster that trade was. I don't know what exactly they gave up for him, but I know it wasn't like scraps.
I mean, I wouldn't hate Mo Bamba.
I would love Mo Bamba. I just know he doesn't fit.
Yeah, no, he doesn't fit, but obviously he's a backup. You know what I mean? See, I look at it still too, right? You kind of killed 2 birds with 1 stone potentially with that, right? You sign him low. He kind of, resembles some value playing limited minutes behind Joel, and then you flip him for something higher than obviously what you got him for, right?
So then
scroll up a little bit. Or no?
Down
a little bit.
Name off the first list. I'm sorry. You don't have to go all the way back. Does Thaddeus Young do anything for any of you guys?
No, he's done.
I think it depends on the price point. And I don't know that he fits.
I mean, I guess you're right with PJ Tucker. I guess essentially already here. Then I guess it doesn't make sense. But
no.
The thing I hate about, I love it, but I hate it. Like, these things leaking out there. This could be such a good conversation with potential backup forwards, but it's like, we know PJ Tucker is a Sixer. So
yeah.
What do you think, guys? Bowl? We go bowl?
Ryan just went 6 to midnight.
Listen to me. I mean, I'll just show you right there. I have a Boban Marjanovic jersey just sitting there.
I know.
A bowl jersey would look real nice over here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I can make some arrangements. I might pay the Sixers to do that. I don't give a damn.
Isaiah Hartenstein's not a bad name either. He played actually really, really good for
Who's that? Hassan Whiteside?
No, Isaiah Hartenstein.
Oh. You guys think Robin Lopez is cooked at this point?
Even though he's got the weirdest hook shot I've ever seen. That he literally does. He palms the ball in. It's so weird what he does.
Like this little list that you have here, I think, is more in the range of what we're realistically looking at. And there's one name on there, and we've said it 100 times, and I'll say it again: Andre Drummond. And everybody else is whatever.
You know what? I'll do
Interchangeable, in my point.
You want to have some fun? I'll have some fun. We did the old rivalry with this guy last year. You want to go old school?
Oh, good.
You want to
Good
play
Lord.
some games? you want to bring this guy in? And I
Remember how
don't
Sean
mind
Whiteside
him.
was supposed
Hilarious.
to be like the next big man?
They
Oh my God.
They said it was going to be Embiid A, Whiteside B. Like it was like those two.
Oh my God, Luka Garza's already on this list.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
he's a restricted free agent. Yeah.
The Pistons
guy.
let him go.
Poor guy.
What about
Just so white and so unathletic.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what he went to Iowa. What else do you expect?
Anybody?
Exactly.
I think he's cooked.
DeMarcus?
I'd take a flyer on him.
My God, he only made $683,000. Holy,
Ralphie, he doesn't have any knees anymore, Ralphie.
oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'd always take a flyer on Boogie.
That
Listen,
Achilles,
Maybe
that
maybe
Achilles
with the
tear.
veteran minimum.
Hold on.
What?
Maybe with the veteran minimum.
Yeah, that's what it would be.
Okay.
I will lean on though that one game, Chrome, when we played the Nuggets, and the Nuggets were better when Cousins was on the floor and Jokic was on the bench. Remember that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
will
but
lean on
Jokic is
that.
back-to-back MVP, though.
And Matisse Thybulle was a second team all defense. Happy for him, but I'm just saying. Oh my God! Look at this. I gotta stop the show. Look at it.
Furcon, come on, buddy.
What is this, Greg? Greg, get off the phone. Your son's here.
Pay attention, goddammit.
Now he's probably talking to the guy in the room that's using this burner account. Look who's here, Greg. Yeah, I know you see it.
Hey, I'll be right there.
Okay. You got somebody over there that's got that account, Greg?
No, it's not my burner.
I'll believe it.
I barely tweet myself or comment myself. You think I'm gonna have a burner?
Oh, you got a point. DeMarcus Cousins, the reason why I don't think it's happening, it's because I'm pretty sure he proclaimed when he was still in Houston that he would, quote, never be teammates with James Harden ever
Yes,
again.
I agree there. Yes. I've always loved Boogie.
Who's that?
DeMarcus
Oh, yeah,
Cousins.
DeMarcus. That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
I'll go Team Boogie over Team James.
And then there's one other one.
I love how Ryan just cruises
Tristan
over that.
Thompson.
I would take Tristan Thompson in a heartbeat.
I don't want nothing to do with the Kardashians after what we went through.
There was another name, but I'm wrong. No, maybe
The
it was
Lakers
DeMarcus
could get
Cousins.
T.J. Warren tomorrow. I'll be so happy.
With what money though, Ralph? I don't
The
understand.
MLE. The MLE.
If
I'll
TJ
take-
Warren,
I'll take oh my God, what's his face?
I don't
Hold
know.
on.
Lonnie Walker, Wayne Ellington. You want to do the Wayne Ellington experiment?
I'll take
again?
Nicholas Batum too.
He's staying in with the Clippers.
Well, why don't we just go Willie Cauley-Stein again?
Oh my God, that was like a 2-second thing, huh?
You know it's bad when DeAndre Jordan replaces you. Like DeAndre Jordan replaced Willie Cauley-Stein. That's bad. I know this is a pipe dream, and this.
Yeah, they let him walk.
I don't think it's that big of a deal, though. I think it's just so they can renegotiate, because I think we all agree that Luke Stewart is not worth 1.3. He's worth closer to 10. I mean, if he's available, good God, then we can end this conversation. Like that's the man. That's the guy that actually fits here.
Yo, forget PJ Tucker. Give me some Wesley Matthews. We'll talk about.
I was about to ask, what do you guys think of Wesley
Yo,
Matthews?
give me Wesley Matthews. You're waving your hand like, dude. Wesley Matthews is still a good player in this league.
First off,
Stop it, Ryan.
First off.
Stop.
Why? Because he does the stupid bow and arrow
Stop.
celebration. The worst
Wesley
celebration in
Matthews is
sports.
still a good player in this league.
In comparison of what? Like what's good nowadays?
He's a good 3-and-D guy.
Oh, hey, where was it? You should have brought him up in our conversation earlier, Ralphie.
What?
Does he make close to $6 million?
What did that list say? He made 2, Danny.
So you should have brought him up. That was the answer to Greg's question. Who's a 3-and-D guy that makes less than Matisse?
Yeah, 1.9.
All right,
1.9.
I know we talked about TJ Warren's injuries, but the one thing that TJ Warren brings to the table that this team has not had in a while, a wing scorer, specifically a wing scorer. This team has not had in ages.
Yeah, yeah, the Lakers need that too. So please don't get them.
I don't care.
You guys don't need them. You guys are completely fine. You guys don't need nobody.
No, you got $50 million Russell Westbrook partying in the bar. You're good. I'll tell you what, if I can get,
it's honestly crazy to see actually how much money these guys actually made.
I know it's
like,
ridiculous.
It's
and to see how some
Harris
of them
making $21 million.
Well, look at this,
God, Josh Jackson. That's my guy.
Listen. You want to find? I'm not saying he's going to start, but you want somebody to play your small forward.
Goodness.
I know. I don't know why he's listed as a shooting guard. He's a small forward. Josh Jackson, guy I wanted over Markelle Fultz.
Yes, I was on that train.
He
was the best player to draft to me.
He'll give you some toughness. Remember, he called Ben Simmons a lot of words.
Yeah,
but another reason why I like him. Love him actually.
He wasn't lying.
No, he was very, very, very spot on. But to your point, Ralphie, like Jarrett freaking Culver made $6.6 million. Jarrett Culver.
That's crazy. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like DiVincenzo makes a lot of sense for us.
He's gonna get like $8 million. He's gonna get like $8 million a year though.
Coming off the injury though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely, he's gonna get $8 million.
A lot of what I saw is he's probably gonna get somewhere in the range of $7 to $8 or $9 million.
What a name, David Duke Jr. Wow.
To be honest with you, I don't even know who that is.
Me neither.
This was another name that was rumored for the Sixers. I will say
a hard champion.
Yeah, no, I'm a hard pass on that. Like, yeah, he's athletic. Yeah, he can play the three. He can't shoot. He can't defend.
What about Kevin Knox?
No. I'd rather give Matisse Thybulle a $20 million extension than bring Kevin Knox on this team.
No, Kevin Knox. God, no. It's sad because I was just about to say I'd be more willing to give like younger guys a second chance or a change of scenery chance. Kevin Knox at 23 years old, nope, you're done. You are who you are, and you're not good.
So do you think that they haven't settled on Harden's number yet? Until like they say, okay, we're gonna put you're gonna make in this range because they're trying to see exactly what it would cost to bring certain guys in, like Andre Drummond, so to speak, right? Like we have $4 million or whatever, but maybe $5 million gets it done for him.
I think Ralphie
$6 million gets it done.
Ralphie, you have something?
You think that could be why maybe they don't have the number exactly settled yet to see exactly what it's going to cost to bring some of these guys in?
Before Ralphie
like maybe they're thinking 35, but maybe it's like, hey, if you give us a minute to figure it out, it might be 33. Will let us pull this trigger.
Yeah, no, I think you're right on.
Before Ralphie goes, Crum, that's a great thought. I think you're giving them too much credit, though. I think
I don't know what Morey. I don't think I'm giving him too much credit on that.
But the funny thing is, the reason why I say that it has to do with Morey. I think they're taking time to try and create the illusion that this wasn't decided 2 months ago and there wasn't heavy tampering. Like, I think it's that. Like, oh, listen, we're going to wait until 6:01. That way, hey, we were just hanging out. We ran into each other at the coffee shop and, hey, are you good for 35? Sure. And that's, you know what I'm saying? Like, I honestly think it's just to avoid, similar with what's happening with Jalen Brunson. To me, I could be dead wrong. But I think the reason why he has interviews with the Dallas Mavericks in Miami, it's to create the illusion that the whole thing with the Knicks has not been set up. Especially since his father was just hired by that friggin' team.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I'd stayed at Camden High over going to the Knicks.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing. But like, I think it's honestly just to create the illusion that this wasn't decided a month ago, Crum. But you could be right. You could be absolutely right. Ralphie, what was you jumped like you had news?
No, I thought I had something, but I was reading an article earlier about the James Harden, and it was like if he opted in, what his numbers would be. Like they were just doing a projection wise.
What was their projection?
2 years. If he opted in, it would have been a contract extension for 2 more years at $102 million. So it's at like 50 something.
What?
Yeah, so you add the 2 years, and it would have been for 102 million. So how many? What would that be? Like 50 something per year?
That's a lot of money.
That wouldn't make sense
Yeah.
because that means he's taking 56. You're muted, Greg.
I am muted.
Yeah, go
Delco,
ahead.
6 p.m. tonight.
Yeah, 6 p.m. Wait, Ralphie. So that projection had him making $56 million this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's taking less.
Yeah, I know. I was reading it, but it was before he opted out.
Oh, I see.
Like the article came out before he opted out. Like they were projecting what he was going to do if he
But Ralphie,
opted
he
in.
opted out.
Yeah, I know.
So you're saying they were projecting that he was going to
Opt in, and then the Sixers were going to give him a
have
2-year
the 47,
extension.
then an additional 102
I know it's
million
so
on
hard.
top of that for 2 additional years?
So we would have gone from paying him 47, 56, 56.
I maybe I'm wrong. I thought I read that he was going to take the 47 and then sign the 2-year extension for less money in those years. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I misread that. That was the impression I was
now
under.
he's a free agent.
Yeah,
Can you imagine if he goes to the Heat?
I wonder if anybody else scoops him up.
Greg, the amount of screenshots I took just from our comment sections on social media, like I'll read you the one, okay? Because this will hit social media as soon as, like, literally as soon as he's signing, I'm posting a screenshot of this. Via our Facebook. I'm not going to give him his last name. Jared. Sounds like a good guy. He said, "Stop it, guys. He's going to sign a max contract somewhere else in free agency. Literally stop it. There is zero chance he comes back. To be honest, if signing a 38-year-old role player is the Sixers' idea of bolstering their roster, I wouldn't blame him for leaving. He's going to be on any other team not named the Philadelphia 76ers. Mark my words."
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, that's just not happening. Brandon, I know it's 51, Brandon. We were going off of what Ralph was saying, Brandon. We do math here. I was just doing the trade machine for an hour. Yes, I know. 102 divided by 2 is 51, which is still too much, by the way, for James Harden. Anyone have anything else before we head out of here?
Nope. All good.
It's going to be a fun day tomorrow, that's for sure.
Yep,
Yeah,
6
Ralph, you
p.m.
hang in there. You hang in there.
6 p.m. can't come fast enough. I can't wait.
You're so excited.
Yeah, I'm so
Maybe they'll
excited.
surprise you.
And by the way,
Yeah,
Ralph,
be surprised with a fucking trade for Russell Westbrook.
You
Be
Lakers
nice.
fans need to stop saying there's nothing else we can do. Yeah, there is. It's called trade Anthony Davis, but I'll just leave that.
Oh
there.
my God, shut
That's
up.
what you can do and you should do. But I don't care about the Lakers and their feelings. But that's what you should do. Fam.
Can you imagine the haul they would get back for him? Holy shit.
Yeah, before he tears
You'd rebuild that team a lot faster.
And before he tears another friggin' ligament, and then you can't trade him at all. Before LeBron walks when he's 38.
Let's have fun tomorrow. Hope you guys get PJ Tucker.
No, you don't. You don't hope anything for us.
4 years, $40 million.
I don't want your hope. I don't want your friggin' hope. You know what I do want, Ralphie? And this can help you. This can take some pressure off of you. Take some of the heat off you. It's by using BetUS, Ralphie. You know why you should, Ralphie?
Why?
Because they're the leading online sportsbook that have been in the market for over 25 years. And get this, Ralphie. You ready? Write this down. Because you're not going to be signing anybody, so you're going to have time to write this down. You can literally bet anywhere in the U.S. Okay. Even Los Angeles, Ralphie, where they don't have any money. You're giving Russell Westbrook $50 million. And Florida. Anywhere. By the way, there's crazy stuff happening in Florida with these snakes. You see these snakes?
Oh, Jake Fisher just said.
Oh, Jake.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of like listening to Jake Fisher in my ear because he's going on. He's on a podcast right now with Mark Stein.
Look at this. He's on a freaking conference call.
He said 34 to 35 million for James Harden would be is what he's hearing.
Okay, that's about what we thought. 34, 35.
Right, you better put some respect on his name.
Yeah. When he wins.
His salary.
Greg, that doesn't show you anything, the fact that he's willing to take that much. In a league where nobody takes less money He's leaving 12 million plus on the board.
I watched the same guy you guys did, like stink up the joint this year, right?
I don't know. Shams says he's looking. He's
Yeah,
his
I saw him.
conditioning
I saw him
program early.
I saw him
He's
running
in
up
the gym, working out.
the incline, chasing guys up the incline. I saw it all.
Chrome, I'll bring in some wrestling terminology. Greg's a mark. Okay, he's a mark.
He is a mark.
He's a mark.
He's a
mark for his own
smart
agenda.
is what he is. He's a smart.
Yeah, him and
Too smart
KZ
for his own good.
Him Harden doesn't deserve more than $5 million. I can't anymore. I need a vacation for a vacation. Anyway, fam, you can bet anywhere in the US, literally on everything. Literally on everything. Use the link right in the description, or just use the promo code A2D for 125% sign up bonus. You should be doing that, Ralphie. It'll take a lot of pressure off you. Take a lot of your mind off of it. For Noah Eaton, both conscious and unconscious. For Ralph Delavecchio, for Michael Chromiak, who will be joining us Wednesdays going forward. Love to have him. For Greg Malakovic, I almost called him Greg the Mark Malakovic. Oh, wait, I just did. For Tom Arnone, I'm Ryan Brodo. Listen, fam, enjoy it. Even if your team is like the Lakers and you can't literally make any signings or trades or anything.
No movement for us.
Happy safe fourth.
Yes,
Yep.
have a good holiday, everybody. Enjoy free agency, even if
Go
you
Cards.
are the Lakers and the Pistons.
That is correct.
Later,
This is
everybody.
going to get like 15 big men tomorrow with all that 43 million.
More than the Lakers have.